What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. Marvel Words of Power 1WP Chapter 1 Inherit the Company, Awakening System. 2007, March 17th, the United States, Los Angeles, California. Skyscraper Building, Shining Star Technology Company, Limited, Chairman's Office. Lynn. Duncan at the moment sits in the chairman's seat. Looking at the middle-aged Caucasian man in a suit and a potbelly sitting across from him, a shadow flashed in his eyes. Lynn, don't struggle anymore, your Duncan family's business is no longer viable, sell it while it's still worth some money. The middle-aged man looked distressed and persuaded Lynn with kind words. Lynn looked at his face and sneered inwardly, I don't know what you have in mind. Is it nothing more than looking at the various technical patents of this company left by my parents? Even if I go bankrupt, I will not leave it to you. Toby and Smith, don't say more, this is the hard work of my parents and it is impossible to sell. Lynn refused decisively, her face very cold. Hearing Lynn's refusal, Tobian's face changed and threatened Lynn. Lynn, don't be ashamed. Your company will be dragged down by the development of the mobile operating system. When the time comes, it will go bankrupt and sleep on the streets. Don't worry about us. At this moment, he roared in anger and said, I'll say it one more time, don't be delusional. Lynn's tone was even more determined, and she didn't want to continue talking nonsense with Tobian. Good, good, good. Toby remembered saying good things 3 times in a row, and his face was extremely difficult to see. Had he not been so patient with this 20-something young man if it weren't for the fruit company's promise of high repurchase prices? Simply delusional. Then let's see. Tobian's mood has reached its limit, and he doesn't want to stay any longer. Although the Duncan family is a major shareholder, other shareholders can still take back the chairmanship of the Duncan family. At that time, it can also sell for a lot of money. Lynn watched Tobian walk out of the chairman's office, and the moment he completely disappeared from sight, the domineering resolute attitude disappeared immediately. His whole body seemed to have lost his strength, and he slumped into his own chair. Grass. It's really bad luck. In the previous life, he failed to start a business, owed a lot of foreign debts, and was forced into a corner. It's hard to cross into a new world, a rich second generation. But the trouble is that, after a few days of enjoyment, the parents had a car accident directly. Check out the company's development. On a horse. Funds are in short supply, not to mention a large number of bank loans owed, and the mobile phone system research and development has been unsuccessful for a long time, and the company is about to be dragged down. If it is not saved, the company will go bankrupt in a month or two. And the reason why Toby is keen on his company is entirely because his parents are like crazy gambling. Invest large sums of money in research and development of smartphones. As a result, all aspects of smartphone technology are mature, that is, the mobile phone system has never been researched, and various bugs always appear. Results Fruit Company took a look. Rely on advertisement. As long as the mobile phone system of Xingyao Company is researched, it will become a strong competitor immediately. In addition, Xingyao's mobile phone manufacturing technology is relatively mature, which can completely make up for some technical shortcomings of its own company. Simply buy your own company directly and eliminate competitors directly from the bud. Anyway, now that Xingyao Company is about to be dragged down because of the mobile phone system, it is a good time to acquire. Tobian was the middleman they were looking for, and he was going to take advantage of Lynn's just taking over as chairman, so he didn't know anything about his own company. Want to steal the city directly? Lynn looked at it. On a horse. Bully's predecessor has always been a rich second generation, who only knows how to enjoy, but does not understand business operations. If you want to rely on cheating, you can directly acquire Xingyao Company at a low price. Bullshit. Just let Lynn fight back, and more troublesome is. Lynn looked at the huge headline in today's paper with a wry smile. Tony. Stark secret meeting in March model, Gibson. Rebecca, close double-angle bracket. Think back to the Captain America memorial that the original memory browse. A shadow flashed in his eyes. The world he travels through is not a peaceful world like Blue Star, but Marvel world. Rich people like Tony Stark have to be kidnapped next year. In the next few years, there will be the New York War, the alien invasion, and the arrival of the Protoss. What's even more terrifying is that there is still a purple sweet potato in the universe who always wants to engage in family planning. A snap of fingers kills half of life in the universe. I don't even know when a supervillain who wants to destroy the world will pop up. Typical high-risk world, for Lynn, even getting through this catastrophe and becoming a rich man. Without his own extraordinary power, there is no ability to resist the impending danger in the future. Unless, like Tony Stark, spend a lot of money and arm yourself with the power of technology. Thinking of this, Lynn is very distressed. Now that the company is on the verge of bankruptcy, she wants to survive and grow herself. Could it be? Really want to sell the company? In this case, it is too difficult to lose the accumulation of parents for many years and start from scratch only with funds. At the moment, a voice suddenly appeared in my ear. Ding! The way of speaking will adapt to this world with the system, and the rule will succeed. Starting. Startup successful. Dear host, hello, the system will serve you wholeheartedly. Current system level. Level 1 inch, please browse system information. Almost instantly, a lot of information appeared in Lin's brain, and under the shock of the information, he even felt dizzy. After a while, advertisement. Lin raised her head, a look of joy on her face, and her eyes gleamed. His gold finger, here we come. Words follow the system. According to the system information, the biggest effect is just consume enough wealth. You can make the world pale in one word. One word changes the world. It's like the legendary big prophecy. I said, let there be light. Then the sky and the earth will burst with dazzling light, enough to blind anyone's eyes. I said, the soul is dead. Then the faint light flashed, and all the enemies in front of them instantly shattered their souls, and their bodies fell to the ground. Definitely, this is an advanced language application, and the current level 1 language system does not support it. Coupled with the limited wealth value, they can only initially interfere with the world, or simply affect the body. It is still impossible to directly distort the will of people and control the changes of the world. But the basis of the performance method and system comes from wealth value, which is the amount of money that Lin can control. The more money Lin gets, the more powerful he can use his words and interfere with the world. And now, the most important thing is sweepstakes roulette. Another core function of the word-of-speech system is that as long as there is sufficient wealth value, it is possible to draw prizes all the time. The prizes come from various collections in the previous system Shuttle World. At present, the low-level lottery is opened. 10,000 wealth value is once, and each wealth point is equivalent to 10 meters. Although Xingyao Company is short of funds, Lin still has a lot of MI yuan. Not to mention, what the system consumes is not MI yuan, but the power of belief represented by MI yuan. System. Open the lottery roulette, consume 100,000 wealth points, and draw 10 times in a row. Ding, the lottery roulette is on. Start the lottery. Congratulations to the host for drawing a dozen cokes. 1 emerald gem. Congratulations to the host for drawing a pair of white silk socks. Congratulations to the speed for drawing a mantra card. Congratulations to the host for drawing master-level programming skills. Congratulations to the host for picking up version 1.0 of the Hongwang mobile phone operating system. Seeing the result of the lottery, Lin's eyes twitched involuntarily, as if a strange thing appeared. But then, I saw the lottery information prompted by the system. A glimmer of joy flashed in his eyes, and he immediately spoke to the system with a tone full of impatience. Receive master programming skills. Receive version 1.0 of Hongwang mobile phone operating system. Chapter 2 Smartphone OS. The core of a smartphone is the operating system. Other mobile phone hardware, with the technological power of the Marvel world, the technology has already matured. The operating system of the mobile phone directly determines the use effect of the smartphone. It is also the most difficult part of research and development, which needs the most talents and inspiration. Don't you see, Lin's father has a very accurate vision and directly invested a lot of money into the smartphone race. I thought I could take it to the sky. However, there are not many talents, the research and development force is not strong, and the mobile phone system developed is more and more bugs. Can't be used normally at all. As a result, it has been consuming a lot of funds. Even if a lot of loans, it will bring down the Shining Star Company. As for the Fruit Company, I heard that the same is true for their mobile phone operating system. Especially in the January press conference, the industry said that it was fraudulent, and the whole press conference ended smoothly. But if there is no problem with the memory of the previous life, according to the development trajectory, the mobile phone system of the Fruit Company should be mature, and even officially started to sell in June. At that time, with the rotten operating system of the previous Xingyao Company, it will definitely be a dead end. And now, the system actually provides a mature smartphone operating system directly. Naturally, Lin was overjoyed. Receive master programming skills. Get the Hongwang mobile phone operating system. Almost instantly, a black USB flash drive appeared in front of Lin, slowly floating in his hand. At the same time, a large amount of programming information emerged in the brain, which was quickly digested and understood by a strange force. A few minutes passed. Lin opened her eyes, a glimmer of light in them. Right now top-notch understanding of software programming. Then, seeing the black U-disc in his hand, a smile appeared on his face. Go to the desk, turn on the computer, and insert the USB flash drive. With the knowledge in the brain, quickly browse. The smile on Lin's face grew stronger as he browsed through the code. Prehistoric mobile phone operating system, although I have never heard of it in my previous life. But according to his research, the discovery is the combination of Android mobile operating system and Fruit mobile operating system. It combines the advantages of both and eliminates the differences between them. More importantly, in this respect he is the same as the Fruit phone operating system. Not open source. Advertisement in other words. Not everyone can use it for free, you can use it only for yourself. Even, according to the knowledge he has acquired, and borrowing from the prehistoric mobile operating system, it is completely possible to develop an open-source mobile operating system in a short period of time. By the time, Xingyao technology is equivalent to the first-hand Fruit and the first-hand Android in the previous life. Proper operation, enough to affect the global mobile phone industry. At that time, earning a lot of wealth will not be easy. As long as the wealth value is enough, You want to display a powerful performance, so even all kinds of extraordinary power are no longer a dream. Ha ha ha. It's really a desperate situation. God will never die for me. At that time, you will have the capital in one hand and the power in the other. Even in the world of Marvel, even in the United States government, I'm not letting me run amok. Then, look at other raffle products. Cola, after taking a sip, it still feels exactly the same as in the previous life. Stockings. I glanced at it, touched it, felt good, and felt a chill in my heart. Throw it directly in the trash. After an hour. Lin, who had calmed down his excitement, began to pick up the phone next to him. Jimmy, call Richard. After a while, there was a knock on the door. Boom. 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 Please come in. Good morning, Lin. Lin raised his head and looked at the middle-aged white man in a blue shirt in front of him. A smile appeared on his face. He is very familiar with this person. It is also a confidant left to him by his father, and he can be trusted. In charge of the technical aspect of the company advertisement. In other words, he is the master of smartphone development. Uncle Richard, you and my father have a very good relationship, and you also watched me grow up. We, the Duncan family, trust you very much. I have a question now, please answer me seriously. We Xingyao company are only short of a smartphone operating system. I only saw that Richard's expression was slightly excited, and his tone was very positive. Yes, Lin. I can guarantee this with my career. As long as our mobile operating system is successfully developed, it will immediately skyrocket and the stock price will soar. At the moment, the predicament, all the catastrophe, all vanished. It is good. I trust you. Hearing Richard's affirmative tone, Lin slapped the table and said aloud. Then the tone changed, and it seemed a little serious. Now, I have a full-fledged smartphone operating system on my hands. This system was specially researched by me during this period of time. In this way, you can take the U-Disk in my hand, debug it, and see how it works. If there is a problem, you can continue to come to me and change it at any time. Having said that, Lin stretched out the white USB stick in his hand. This is the mobile operating system he specially copied. Looking at Richard's surprised eyes, he said softly with a smile. Anyway, I am also a top student who graduated from Harvard. I have won many scholarships and have been praised by all my mentors. Others, you can always call me a genius. Don't look at me not paying attention to the company on the surface, but in fact, how can I be indifferent to my father's company? With that said, Lin inserted the white USB flash drive into his hand. He patted his shoulder earnestly and joked with a smile. Uncle Richard, don't be stunned, try it out and see how it works. Don't forget to sign a non-disclosure agreement with your technicians and don't reveal any information. This is a chance for our Shining Star Company and our Duncan family to be reborn. After sending Richard off, Lin bowed her head in thought. Now, the company's biggest problem has been solved. The rest is a matter of shareholders. Thinking of this, a cold light flashed in Lin's eyes. He hadn't forgotten Tobian's ugly face. Chapter 3 See Pepper. Say what you say with the app. 2 days later, Xingyao Technology Company, the technology department. Boss, this is the Xingyao smartphone debugged based on the Xingyao mobile phone operating system you provided. I have to say, you are a genius, no less than Tony Stark. After testing, the mobile phone runs very smoothly, which is not inferior to the previous demonstration by the fruit company at the press conference. What's more, who doesn't know that the fruit company has cheated before? If their mobile phone system has not been developed, we will send it out first, and the stock price will definitely skyrocket. There was a smile on Lin's face when he heard Richard's excited, gushing speech. Then said softly, Haha, I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Let's take this opportunity to let the fruit company go to hell together. By the way, Uncle Richard, give me a cell phone that you have fully debugged, I will be very useful. Richard was stunned for a moment, and then said with certainty. Okay, wait a minute, I'll send someone to your office. However, our next step is to tell the shareholders this good news first. Stabilize their status. I heard that they have been making a lot of trouble recently, and some people even want to sell the company's shares. After hearing what Richard said, Lin narrowed her eyes, her tone changed, and she said indifferently. This is not in a hurry. For those overly active shareholders, I have to take care of them. We have to clean the house before we can treat guests. Hearing Lin's icy tone, Richard couldn't help shivering, took a peek at Lin, and stopped the urge to continue talking about the subject. Instead, he continued to chat with Lin about various aspects of the mobile operating system. As Richard kept asking some small questions, Lin answered them casually, and it suddenly dawned on him. Sometimes simply modifying a few codes directly on the computer will immediately make the system run more smoothly. Richard, including the surrounding staff, had a look of admiration on his face. When Lin saw this, his heart was somber. Lin looked around, though, and whispered in a voice that no one else could hear. I think. Those who want to reveal secrets will cough violently. As a strange wave spread, the system wealth value decreased by 10,000. Lin saw that there was no coughing sound around, and a smile appeared on his face. Although, at present, the system cannot directly affect people's life and death, but there is no problem in slightly affecting people's health. Advertisement. Back in the chairman's office, Lin looked at the phone case on the desk with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Then, picking up the phone, Roar called the assistant. Jimmy, help me meet with the Stark Industries shareholder representative, Miss Pepper. Okay, boss. After a while, the office phone rang. As soon as he answered, it was the voice of assistant Jimmy. Boss, you have made an appointment with Miss Pepper. We can meet at her office at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Lynn heard Jimmy's reply, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. The Miss Pepper in Jimmy's mouth is Tony, Stark's secretary, the future wife of the famous Iron Man, and the CEO of Stark Industries. It is also a coincidence that Lynn and Pepper have a good relationship. They are all students of the same class at Harvard University, and even the original Lynn once wanted to pursue Pepper as a rich second generation. As a result, Miss Pepper did not agree to Lynn's pursuit, and finally went to work at Stark Industries. Hearing the news at the time, Yuan Shi was heartbroken for a while. As a result, I don't know what news Tony Stark heard later. Directly purchase stocks as an individual, become a shareholder of Xingyao Company, and become a large shareholder. Even made Miss Pepper a shareholder representative. Direct face-to-face with Lynn's father, peer-to-peer exchange of business development. At that time, Lynn's face was quite ugly when he heard the news. However, looking back now, Lynn immediately understood the significance of Tony Stark's actions. Afraid to be jealous. Ha ha ha. Lynn will not fight an unprepared battle for Shining Star's shareholder meeting in 4 days. Now, Tony Stark personally owns up to 10% of the equity in Shining Star Company, and has a lot of right to speak in the entire company. You must know that the Duncan family is the founder of Xingyao Company and currently holds 42% of the equity. If you can get the support of Tony Duck or Miss Pepper, then you can directly control the operation of the whole company. Advertisement. More importantly, Miss Pepper and the others have no ill will towards the Duncan family, and they did not get involved in the mess of the fruit company. Coupled with the relationship with previous classmates, it is a helper that can be drawn. The next day at 9 a.m., New York, Stark Building. Lynn looked up at the Stark Industries logo above the building, a smile on her lips. This building, but Marvel's world-renowned location. I don't know how many classic scenes will happen here in the future, such as the Hulk hammer Loki. Ha ha ha. Immediately afterwards, Lynn restrained her smile, looked straight, and strode into the Stark Industrial Building. Board the elevator and enter Pepper's office. Seeing Miss Pepper with a delicate face and a slender figure, she called Roar. Good morning, Pepper. Morning, Lynn. Long time no see. I heard about the recent things. I have communicated with your father before. He is a good person. Please mourn. Hearing the crisp voice on the other side, there was a trace of sadness in Lynn's eyes. Let Pepper see it. Then, with a straight face, he said to Pepper in a warm voice. This time, I have a present for you. With that, Lynn handed Pepper the gift box in his hand. I think you will definitely want to watch. With Lynn's language, a strange wave of fluctuations enveloped Miss Pepper. Miss Pepper, mixed with a hint of impatient emotion, opened the gift, a mobile phone case with her own hands. I saw a black cuboid, with edges and corners, very delicate, and there was a screen on the black cuboid that paid attention to color rendering. At the top of the screen are circular icons that look like some kind of technological artwork as a whole. Pepper said in a surprised tone. This is smartphone. Chapter 4 Shareholders Meeting. 2 days later, Shining Star Company, conference room. More than a dozen shareholders of Xingyao Company sat on both sides of the long table in the conference room, and Miss Pepper was among them. I saw them whispering, occasionally looking up at Lynn Duncan with a cold face. You said, old Duncan has passed away. Does this young man Lynn have any experience in running the company? What's the future? Who said no? I trusted old Duncan before, so I invested money in it. I really can't trust a rich second generation like Lynn. By the way, who have you heard that the fruit company is going to buy shares? Is this news true or false? Speaking of acquisitions, I'm actually a little interested. Seeing that Xingyao Company is about to collapse, I can get a little back now. Quote. Quote. After a while, Lynn looked down at the watch in his hand. 9 a.m., just right. Snapped, snapped, snapped. Lynn gave a high five and made several crisp sounds, which immediately attracted the attention of all shareholders. I just heard him say softly. It's now 9 a.m. and the general meeting of shareholders officially begins. Here, we must first mourn Mr. Duncan, the former chairman of Shining Star Company, my father, who died in a car accident. Lynn took the lead in mourning for dozens of seconds, then said calmly. Next, I will take over my father's position and serve as the chairman of Xingyao Company. As for the future development direction of the company, I will continue to follow the development direction of the former chairman. Vigorously develop smartphones. Behind. At the moment, only one shareholder was seen, interjected suddenly. Advertisement. As for the company's development strategy, I think this point needs to be discussed again. Before, your father served as the chairman. With his ability to operate, I trust him very much. But, you, firstly, have no experience with business operations, and secondly, you have no experience in managing a company. Why should we trust you? Even if you are a major shareholder of the company, but at a time when the company is in turmoil, we believe that for the better development of the company, the position of chairman must be carefully considered. Lin glanced at the shareholder who spoke, named Patu, who held about 1% of the company's equity, and was considered a small shareholder. There was a sneer at the corner of his mouth, and he said in a somewhat arrogant tone. Mr. Pateau, why? Just because my father started this company, our family holds 42% of the equity. This is why I am the chairman of the board. Why? You only have 1% of the equity, and you want to be the chairman. Is it possible, if you really think I'm an idiot, you will let me down in just a few words, just talking about a dream? No matter who is behind you, let me tell you, it's impossible to destroy our Xingyao company with just a few words. Immediately afterwards, Lin was silent, looking at all the shareholders present. I saw the slightly arrogant words just now, and immediately made the entire conference room a little noisy. At the moment, Lin said in a tiny tone, I think, those who try to betray the company's interests, beware of impetuousness and dizziness. Almost instantly, Lin saw several people grunt, caressing their foreheads, closing their eyes, and rubbing their temples lightly. Seeing this, Lin narrowed her eyes and quietly remembered the people who had just stroked her forehead in her mind. After a short while, Lin stopped talking. The meeting room, which was somewhat noisy in the original version, gradually became silent. Seeing this, Lin said sincerely, Advertisement. Now is the time when the company is in turmoil. We should unite as one and overcome the difficulties together, instead of making a civil war here and making people laugh. I believe that even if my father is still alive, seeing this scene, I am afraid I will be unwilling. Having said that, Lin set his eyes on Tobian, his tone changed, and he said without the slightest emotion. We must always be vigilant about the malicious instigation of some people, and don't fall for the evil of others just because of a few words. Think about it, what are these people doing? It's not to bring down our shining star company and satisfy their interests. Following Lin's gaze, everyone looked at Tobian one after another, and Tobian at the moment couldn't sit still. Lin's words, inside and out, were aimed at him. The reason is this reason, but the words continue to let Lin continue, there is really no way to argue. So, Tobian stood up immediately and interrupted what Lin wanted to say next, and while it might have been distasteful, it had to be interrupted. Although your words still have some truth, you can't escape a fact after all. You were a rich second generation who only knew how to enjoy yourself. One had no ability, and two had no experience. In such a predicament, how could you lead Xingyao company to turn things around? Could it be that we listened to what you said and let you do whatever you want to lead the company to the abyss? That's the real irresponsibility to the company. Although you have 42% of the company's equity, it doesn't mean that you can cover the sky with one hand. All our shareholders unite and discuss a real path together is the only way to save Xingyao. Miss Pepper, don't you think so? Speaking of at the moment, Tobian sets her sights on Miss Pepper, who is the face of Tony Stark and holds a 10% stake in the company. It is said that the relationship between the two is not very good, and there is even a vague contradiction between the two before. With Miss Pepper's appeal with Tony Stark, she can definitely persuade everyone. Pepper heard Tobian's question, and was silent for a while, then spoke. Mr. Tony Stark thinks that Lin Duncan has the ability to inherit the position of chairman of Shining Star Company. Chapter 5 Pepper's Proficiency. Tony's Sigh. 2 days ago, Tony's villa. After Pepper communicates with Lin, he took his smartphone back to Tony Dark's villa. I saw some Pepper Potts dressed as a business secretary walking into the villa bedroom. Seeing the scene inside, there was helplessness on his face. Only see Tony. Next to Stark was a female model in his arms, still falling asleep. It seems. I worked hard for a long time last night, and I still slept during the day. Then, very skillfully picked up the alarm clock next to it and turned it to the loudest. Standing aside, waiting for the two on the bed to wake up. With the sound of the alarm beeping, the female model woke up first, looked at Pepper in a formal suit next to her, and was stunned for a moment. Seeing himself naked, he turned to look at Tony, who was still asleep. Finally, looking at the expressionless Pepper, some don't know what to do next. Then, Pepper deftly handed the dress to the female model and placed the alarm clock next to Tony. Finally out of the bedroom. Wait quietly. After a while, the female model got dressed, walked out of the bedroom, looked at Pepper, and then looked at herself. Really? The Iron Pepper, the model of running water. Afterwards, I only heard Pepper say it expressionlessly, as if it had been said countless times. Tony, we'll do what Mr. Stark promised last night. Now, please leave the villa, the company needs to find Tony for something. The female model looked at Pepper, who reached out her hand, and subconsciously walked out of the villa and left in a car. The whole process was like running water, as if it had been rehearsed many times. It seems. I dare not say thousands of times such a scene, but at least hundreds of times. I really don't know how Tony's kidneys are made. And Pepper at the moment entered the bedroom and watched Tony, who was still asleep when the alarm clock didn't work. Advertisement. Extremely skilled, he walked to the wall and adjusted the temperature of the bedroom. Soon, Tony Stark woke up, looked helplessly at Pepper, who handed him the clothes, and asked lazily. What's the matter, Pepper? What happened again? Sir, about your schedule. First, there is a charity dinner today. Quote. As Pepper said without expression and emotion, Tony was also very skillful in putting on his clothes and at the same time finding reasons to refuse. I won't go to the charity dinner tonight, leave it to my pushy uncle. Quote. After a while, as Tony finished getting dressed, Pepper finished reading the schedule. Then said, "Sir, there are some problems with the Shining Star Company that you invested in before, but their current chairman, Lynn Duncan, came to me today with good news, but wanted to ask for our help." Excuse me, what is your attitude? Hearing this, Tony was stunned for a moment, as if thinking about something, and then said in a light tone, as if a little depressed. "Lynn Duncan. I remember him, seems to have pursued you before. What happened? Could it be that your old relationship has rekindled? If Lynn is here, I'm afraid I can hear the feeling of jealousy." Only to hear Pepper say without a trace of emotion. "The chairman of Shining Star is Lynn's parents. He died in a car accident some time ago. Now he is about to take up the position of chairman and is caught in a fight within the company. And Shining Star, according to previous information, is about to collapse because it has not developed a mature smartphone operating system for a long time. However, Lynn came to me today and took out a brand new smartphone. I tried it out. The phone ran very smoothly. According to him, the operating system of the mobile phone was independently researched by him. I believe that once the smartphone is released, the share price of Shining Star will skyrocket, and your previous investment will gain a lot. And Lynn came to me to get your support at the shareholders meeting the day after tomorrow. Also, Lynn and I haven't seen each other for a long time after all, and have nothing to do with each other. Furthermore, my personal emotional problems are not your concern." Hearing this, Tony directly forgot the last sentence and said jokingly, "Oh, my poor Lynn, my parents died in a car accident and got caught up in an internal fight. I didn't expect that he was also a genius and could develop an operating system for a mobile phone by himself." Speaking of this, Tony was stunned for a moment. Why is the scene he just talked about so familiar? Parents' car accident, advertisement, corporate fight. A genius. Isn't this his template? Had it not been for the help of his uncle Obadiah, he would have lost control of Stark Industries himself. Come to think of it, Tony Stark felt the same way, but Lynn's previous pursuit of Pepper made him feel like a stick in his throat, a bit contradictory. After thinking about it for a long time, he said in a light tone, "I look at his smartphone system, and if it's what he says, it can support him." With that said, Tony picked up his smartphone and walked to the workbench beside him. "Research it." After a while, Pepper looked at Tony frowning slightly and asked with some doubts, "What's wrong?" "There is a problem with the mobile phone system. I tried it before and it was very smooth." I only heard Tony's reply with some sigh. "There's nothing wrong with the system, it's definitely a genius who made this system. The entire mobile phone system is running. Although there are bugs, they have little impact. I can even feel that these are left on purpose, and there are interfaces in some places. Prepare to keep it for upgrade later. And his technical level is not weak. The source code he encrypted cannot be parsed yet." Then, some stinky farts said, "Definitely, as long as I work hard and take the time, his source code is absolutely fine." Then, I heard Pepper say hesitantly, "So this time, shall we support Lynn at the shareholders meeting?" After getting Tony's affirmative answer, Pepper didn't think much of it and started chatting about Tony's other schedule. 2 days later, according to the invitation letter issued by Shining Star Company, she entered the conference room and waited for the opening of the general meeting of shareholders. Chapter 6: The Power of Saying the Way. The shock of the crowd. Shining Star Company, conference room, shareholders meeting. Mr. Tony Stark thinks that Lynn Duncan has the ability to inherit the position of chairman of Xingyao Company, so he supports all his decisions. Tobian, who originally had a smile on his face, froze for a moment, and then became ugly. What happened? Not heard. Lynn had pursued Pepper. Tony Stark did not like him. This time it is very likely to be on his side. Why? He will support Lynn in all decisions. Lynn, at the moment, had a smile on her face when she heard what Pepper said. Although he was ready for Tony Stark to stand on the opposite side. "But it would be best if you were on his side." Immediately afterwards, Lynn spoke loudly to the shareholders sitting in the conference room. "Now, Mr. Tony Stark supports all my decisions. Our shareholding and Tony's shareholding together account for 52%, and we have an absolute controlling stake. So, do you have any questions about me sitting in the chairman's seat?" Then, seeing the surprised expressions on the faces of the shareholders, a smile formed on the corners of their mouths. Immediately after, Lynn said something silently. "I think Toby should be extremely upset right now. At the same time, aim at Tobian's position and take out a skill card obtained from the first lottery draw. Mantra card. The function of the mantra card is to control every word that the other party says next to be the truth. At the same time, if you ask a question, there will be an answer." In Lynn's line of sight, there was only a pale yellow light covering Tobian's brain. Then, seeing Toby's expression of extreme irritability and dissatisfaction on his face, Lynn said softly, "Tobian Smith, can you explain the reasons behind all your actions? Based on your previous behavior, I strongly suspect that you are bribing by a competing company and selling the company's interests. Advertisement. When some shareholders below heard Lin's straightforward question, a trace of disdain appeared in their eyes. A fool will answer directly. But then, a scene that shocked everyone happened. I saw Toby roaring impatiently because of his irritable expression. I am doing this for the good of the company. Now Shining Star has been dragged down by your parents' development strategy. We shareholders don't get any benefit at all. And now, the Fruit Company has said that they are willing to give me a lot of MI yuan to acquire Xingyao Company. For the sake of the company and for the shareholders, I will naturally try my best to facilitate this. Unfortunately, you little b************* d would rather drag the company into the abyss than sell the equity. Speaking of this, Tobian's tone was full of anger. Originally, I made arrangements here to force you to quit the position of chairman. Who would have thought that the lunatic Tony Stark would support you as an idiot for the chairmanship? It made me fall short. Hearing this, Pepper's face changed, with dissatisfaction and anger on his face. And everyone was shocked. For the first time, someone dared to expose their plans so blatantly. For the first time, I dared to blatantly abuse Tony Stark at a shareholder meeting. Ha ha ha. Lin laughed inside. Words with the Law Plus mantra card, the effect is striking. But, after all, Lin was professionally trained, so she suppressed the smile that was about to rise on her face and her face sank. To all the shareholders present, he said with a sad face and a low tone. I didn't expect that Tobian, my father's former friend, would treat his friend's company like this. I didn't expect him to be so confident in the company's development. Regardless of his feelings, he directly hooked up with outsiders and betrayed the company's interests. All of this is so heartbreaking. Immediately afterwards, Lin's tone was full of anger and shouted at Tobian. Tobian, you said, what you have done is worthy of my father. Advertisement. At the moment, Tobian just came back to his senses and found himself very angry, out of control, and completely unable to control what he said. There was panic and anxiety in his eyes. Immediately afterwards, as if stimulated by Lin's words, he roared angrily. Everyone understands, and they get together to make money. Your Xingyao company is almost finished, can you still let us bury you? If you want to say sorry, it's your father who is sorry for me. Everyone was instantly shocked by Toby's shameless words. Even Pepper was stunned, and his mouth opened slightly, showing his inner shock. Although everyone understands the matter, who dares to shout loudly in front of everyone? Is there something wrong with your brain? Who would dare to cooperate with him in the future? In response, a smile appeared directly on Lin's face, and then his face sank, showing grief and anger. It seemed that Toby was heartbroken by what he said. I know that some people may not have confidence in the company's development strategy. However, our company can only get out of the woods if it sticks to the smartphone road. Maybe, some people really want to sell their stocks and want to recover their losses. Even if the price is a little lower. Even, want to sell the company and sell the interests of other shareholders. Immediately afterwards, Lin's tone changed, with a sincere expression and a loud voice. I am personally full of understanding for such behavior. Here, I make a pledge in the name of the Duncan family. If you want to sell stocks, you can come to me. I am willing to buy stocks at a price that is 10% higher than the market price. But time is limited to now. After all, this is a business that my parents have worked so hard for many years, and I can't bear to see it collapse due to the civil war. Saying that, Lin gestured to the assistant standing beside him. He handed the prepared stack of equity transfer contracts to the assistant and asked him to send it to everyone in the conference room. Immediately afterwards, Lin turned on the system of uttering the law and said it silently. I think. Chapter 7 Master the power of the company. I think. All shareholders who are willing to sell their shares will sign. In order to make the system work better with words, Lin has done some research these days. Although it is said that it is only a level 1 speech, it can only initially interfere with things, or the human body. In other words, it is impossible to directly form an energy attack, and it cannot distort the human will. It can only affect the way things work slightly, or affect part of the body's health or mood. But, as long as things develop logically, the power of speaking out can be magnified. For example, he pretended to be sad and angry before, said so much, and made so many preparations. Just to make the next scene go smoothly. It not only prevents others from picking the thorns, but also magnifies the power of speaking out and influences people's thoughts. At this moment, Lin looked at some shareholders in the conference room and got the equity transfer contract. He glanced at the contract briefly, his expression revealed hesitation, and then he was under the influence of a light red strange force. His expression turned very firm. A stroke of the pen. Under Lin's gaze, he signed his name. Lin was overjoyed at this. But the face is full of seriousness. Pity. Decisively. It seems that he is generous to sacrifice himself, and at the same time feels pity for those who sold their equity. As for the MI yuan who bought the equity, don't forget the emerald gemstones obtained by the lottery before, the estimated value is several million yuan, and the smartphone system has been successfully developed. He gave the bank a lot of confidence and loaned him another RMB. This time, we must take back full control of the company. Pepper, who was on the side, watched the scene in front of him. Confused. It feels incredible to say. Things have developed so far, and the logic in it is completely fine, and everything is going very smoothly. But this is the first time she has encountered such a smooth and somewhat strange general meeting of shareholders. Self-destructing self-destruction. Sign the signature. Advertisement. The whole thing, the whole process, is really weird. But can't tell where is the problem. But she knew that this time, Xingyao Company or Lin Duncan absolutely held the power of the company, and the stock price soared. Immediately don't think about it anymore. Anyway. Tony Tank is also a shareholder of the company. He has received news before and is also in the market to acquire shares. This time, following the east wind, the equity in the hands will definitely rise, and the money will be made a lot by then. As for Lin Duncan, although I haven't seen each other for a long time. But in these few contacts, I found that people have changed a lot, whether it is ability or means, they have become abnormally fierce, exceeding ordinary people. Can be called a company development chief helmsman. Even, I wanted to pursue her before, but now I can't feel it at all. Otherwise, even if Lin becomes the chairman of Shining Star, she won't get too much contact. Lin didn't notice the change in Pepper's psychology. After all, he doesn't have the ability to telepathically either. But he clearly felt that Pepper was very satisfied with the unusual cooperation in this cooperation. As expected of the future CEO of Stark Industries. There will be opportunities in the future, and there will be more exchanges. Tony Stark's ARC energy stack, his eyes are very hot. Energy, the lifeblood of the United States economy. After a while, watching all shareholders stop writing, Lin gestured to Assistant Jimmy next to him. Subsequently, Assistant Jimmy took back the contracts in everyone's hands. Into two piles. The pile in the left hand has not been signed, and the pile in the right hand has been signed and sealed. Lin, see here. The contract for picking up the right hand was roughly turned over. Advertisement. Nodding with satisfaction, this time. About 30% of the equity is recovered. In other words, he now holds 72% of the entire company and has an absolute controlling position. See this. Lin raised his head and spoke aloud to the shareholders who signed. The fee for equity, back in your bank account in an hour. Contact my assistant Jimmy for details. Now, because you have lost your status as a shareholder of Xingyao Company. Terribly sorry. Please leave the conference room, we need to further communicate the company's future development strategy. Then, when Jimmy opened the door of the conference room and gestured for it, 15 shareholders went out one after another, and only 8 shareholders remained in the conference room. See here. Lin nodded with satisfaction, a smile on his face. Facing the remaining 8 shareholders, he smiled and said softly. Thank you to the remaining shareholders for their support of Shining Star. I believe that Xingyao Company will never fail your support. For what Lin said, some shareholders were happy, but secretly cursed. If not, you Lin approached me privately a few days ago and said that you independently developed a smartphone operating system. Want to get your own support. Lao Su also sold the shares. Lin also thought of the thoughts of some of the shareholders below. He's not that stupid, he's just looking for Pepper. If Tony Stark doesn't support it, isn't it game over? Therefore, we found a few shareholders with relatively good relationships. After a simple chat, he instantly fell to his side. Certainly, these shareholders may have also bought some shares in private. But time is limited, it's all small issues, not worth mentioning. Afterwards, Lin said aloud with a smile on his face and a joyful tone to all the shareholders. Now, I have good news to announce. We, Xingyao Smartphone Operating System, have been officially developed. Chapter 8 Lin's Pride. Our Xingyao Smartphone Operating System has been officially developed. This system was developed by myself with a lot of energy, and I named it Xingyao. Now, everyone can experience it. While we experience it, we will explain the future development strategy of the company to everyone. As he said that, looking at the shocked eyes of most shareholders, he turned to the assistant standing next to him, and said softly with a smile. Jimmy, don't hurry up and give our smartphones to the shareholders. Afterwards, I watched all the shareholders hold their smartphones, turn them on and try them out. Then continue to communicate privately. My God, it's real, it's not a dream, the smartphone system has finally been developed. Smith, I just tried it. The phone runs very smoothly without any problems. It's much better than the fruit company. Really, did our stock price skyrocket this time? Haha, fortunately I didn't choose to leave. You said, is this a game set up by Lin and the others? Shish. Don't talk about this, it's all unlucky, deserve it, let's take advantage of this time to make a fortune. Exactly. Quote. Quote. Looking at the whispering shareholders, and at the equity transfer contract just placed next to him. All of a sudden it feels. The back is straight. At last. Cough, cough, cough. Lin coughed a few times, and all the shareholders immediately stopped communicating privately, and all looked at Lin with obedient eyes. Lin felt the obedience of everyone's eyes, a smile flashed in his eyes, and he said loudly. Next, I will explain the development plan given to us in the future with all shareholders. We're going to hold the Xingyao mobile phone launch conference on April 5th, and the mobile phone will be officially released in June. During the period, we will make every effort to produce Xingyao smartphones. Quote. Quote. During this time, Pepper sat quietly beside him, watching Lin smile or encourage or beat some shareholders. Brand, marketing, production, advertisement, sales. One by one finalized, settled piece by piece. All the shareholders just nodded and agreed, and the others didn't dare to breathe a sigh of relief. Pepper suddenly felt that all he knew about Lin before. It's all an illusion. His gentleness, his quietness. It's all just appearances. Hidden beneath the surface is arrogance. Yes, it is arrogance. Not a good word though. Between arrogance and arrogance, the meaning is only the slightest. But Pepper thought about it over and over again, and felt that the word best suited Lin's smiling face at the moment. Where did he come from? A monster comparable to Tony. Previously, she had always thought Tony was extremely arrogant. But unlike Tony, Tony's arrogance is because of his extreme confidence in his IQ and skills. And Lin, it's as if everything is under control. So, acting even more arrogant than Tony Stark. Suddenly, a trace of remorse flashed in Pepper's heart. Such a person, who holds the absolute controlling stake in the company, how will they view the equity in the hands of others? Afterwards, he shook his head slightly in distress. Don't think about it anymore. Anyway, she's just Tony Stark's equity agent, not his wife. As for the future, let these two monsters fall in love and kill each other. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on Pepper's delicate face. Then, time passed minute by minute. Soon, it was close to noon. The general plan for the future that Xingyao Company is allowed to disclose has all been shared with shareholders. The general meeting of shareholders has officially ended. Advertisement. Everyone left with satisfaction and excitement. And Pepper is at the end. Suddenly, hearing Lin screamed, he stopped immediately. Pepper, thank me and Mr. Tony Stark. Thanks again for his support. I believe that Shining Star will not disappoint his investment. Hearing Lin finished speaking, Pepper replied in a clear voice. Okay, I'll report everything to Mr. Tony at the shareholders meeting. Immediately afterwards, Lin spoke softly. The Stark mobile phone conference on April 5th, I would like to invite Mr. Tony to come, and ask Miss Pepper to report to Tony Stark together. Xingyao Company, looking forward to Mr. Stark's presence. Hearing this, Pepper nodded lightly, and then stepped out of the conference room. At night, Tony Stark Villa, a surprised voice was heard. Are you sure, Lin? Duncan did that at the shareholders meeting. No way, are you lying to me? Ha ha ha, 80% of those shareholders are big fools. Such a few words, self-exposing, signing the signature, isn't the brain flooded? To be honest, if only our shareholders at Stark Industries were like this. Otherwise, quote. Quote. Pepper was deadpan as he listened to Tony's sneering tone. She was also speechless about Tony's temperament. If it weren't for the high salary, I would have quit my job long ago. Then, only Pepper was heard to interject. By the way, Tony, Lin. Duncan asked me to invite you to their mobile phone launch, are you going? I'll reply here. In this regard, Tony Stark pondered for a moment, then said with a smile. If that's the case, then. Chapter 9 African Emirates. Oh Huang. Lin invites Pepper and Tony. As for whether they would come, he wasn't sure. Especially now with Tony's character. Completely like a child, even worse than a child. Only after a catastrophe will become Iron Man. It's best to come naturally. Cannot come. He also wants to make a lot of money. Just wait for the mobile phone to be sold successfully and get a lot of money and wealth. You can upgrade the language with the system. By the time you can use the extraordinary ability. Come to think of it, it's a little exciting. Ha ha ha, Lin kept muttering inwardly, and a smile appeared on his face. Then, looking at the empty conference room, Lin left slowly and walked towards the technical department. Now, the most important thing is smartphone. If there are mistakes in this area, everything is delusional. After a while, go to the technical department. Watching Richard and a bunch of techs working on a smartphone system. Then he said softly, and started to follow the law. I think people who don't work hard should be dizzy. Almost instantly, in Lin's field of vision, a red light spread to the technical department. Seeing that almost no one in it appeared to caress his forehead. Satisfied nod, worthy of being a technician, more than those shareholders. Much purer. Then, a wry smile formed on the corner of his mouth. Well-spoken words follow the law. An extremely strong combat skill, he was stunned to use it as a screening skill. Why? Lin sighed deeply inwardly, then turned straight. Turn around and leave and go back to your office. Enter the office and sit in your boss chair. Silently open the lottery roulette. Why worry? Only a raffle. Take advantage of the wealth value accumulated in your hand now, take a draw. Maybe something good can come out of it. Advertisement. After a long time, Lin's eyes were dull, looking at a series of items in the system space. Cola, milk, desk lamp, face mask, facial mask. Dot 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 dot. It's all a bunch of worthless stuff. After spending 500,000 wealth points and drawing 50 times in a row, I got these junk. There are even many times to thank you for your patronage. Really, I am an African chief, and the first time I won the grand prize is also a novice gift package. Then, P asterisk 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 D off generally one last time, no matter what the result is, it will not be drawn again. Looking at the turntable that appeared in front of me, it kept turning. Suddenly, stopped. Ding, congratulations on getting a washing smartphone. Hearing the news from the system, Lin immediately looked overjoyed. This is a good thing. This means, luck is back. Immediately put aside the thoughts just now, take advantage of the time to run, and pump a few more times. Consume 100,000 wealth points all at once, and get a 10 draw. A box of toilet paper. Pen. Professional driving skills. Data line. A box of mineral water. Dot 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 dot. Rely on. I knew that I was an African chief, and I knew I shouldn't be so cheap. There is only one driving skill, which is a bit valuable. But the problem is, he is an old driver. This skill is not as useful to him as a pen. Then, she closed the lottery roulette decisively. On a horse. Next time I will draw a lottery, I will turn it over and write it. Then, set your sights on the lottery space provided by the system. Advertisement. There was good news just now. A smartphone. What are you really looking forward to, come what? Just this prize is enough to make up for the wealth value of all the lucky draws. It seems, your luck should be used on this. Lin thought silently, rubbing her chin. Then, a smile was drawn on the corner of his mouth, and he followed the words systematically. Receive the prize, washing smartphone. Almost instantly, a black smartphone appeared in front of Lin. Reach for it, and press and hold the power button. Then, with a smile on his face, he looked at the familiar startup screen. This is a good thing. Although he has already obtained a mature mobile phone operating system. But some plugins, some software, cannot be said to be very perfect. Now, there is this full-fledged smartphone. You can analyze the various software inside. Even if you can't get mature software like those in the previous life. However, the software that comes with the mobile phone, such as input method, memo, music and so on. Just parse out their software code and modify it slightly. You can quickly put it in your mobile phone system. It is equivalent to a collection of mature software for prostitution. Think about it. Some sweetness. Then, Lin turned on the computer, plugged in the cable, and used his master programming skills. Begin to analyze the built-in software of this phone. Dot 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 dot. On April 5th, at 8:30 a.m., Los Angeles, the scene of the Xingyao smartphone conference. The whole press conference site has not yet started, and it has already begun to be very noisy. There are discussions everywhere. Have you heard? The internal equity of Xingyao Company has undergone major changes, a large number of shareholders have left, and now there are new products released. It is said that they will compete with the fruit company. What do you think? I think it's enough. The fruit company has a lot of capital in the background, and Xingyao Company heard that the funds are about to be dragged down some time ago. I think it's hanging. I don't think so. I heard that Tony Stark is very supportive of Lin Duncan, chairman of Xingyao Company. When he makes a move, wouldn't the stock price of Xingyao Company fly up? What support? I have a source, and I heard Lin and Tony are rivals in love, and it would be nice if they didn't fight. Ah, really? That's funny. Quote dot 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 quote. At the moment, I suddenly heard a loud noise in the distance. Tony Stark is coming. Chapter 10 Bombard the Fruit Company. 10 changes today. P.S. Today's 10th update. The author has worked very hard. I hope that readers can vote for more monthly tickets for flowers. For the new book period, these data are too important. Mr. Tony Stark, what do you think of Shining Star Company? Are you very optimistic about coming to Shining Star's press conference this time? Mr. Stark, there is a tabloid report that you bought a stake in Xingyao Company because you were jealous of your female secretary, Miss Pepper. Is it true? Mr. Stark, it is rumored that you are responsible for the operating system of Xingyao Company's mobile phone. Is it true? Mr. Stark, it is said that you are very optimistic about Lin Duncan. You think it is a man-made talent, or do you think his background is similar to yours? Both parents died, so you support him. Quote dot 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 quote. Tony Stark walked down the path opened by the bodyguards with a blank face, and he had long been impatient with these reporters. If not, he turned his gaze to Pepper, who was wearing a secretary outfit next to him. Well, if it weren't for Pepper being next to him, he would have gotten up long ago for fear of being stopped. To know, back then, he made a special purchase of their publishing house and fired reporters for a report. At that time, the entire reporter industry dared to report unscrupulously against him. Pity. It was back to normal after a while. He was also very helpless, but he had been warned once by his uncle Obadiah, and he did not do the same thing again. Otherwise, these lace tabloids dared to target him again, Uncle Tony, who would have already started repairing their publishing house. Entering the main hall of the press conference, Tony felt a lot calmer all of a sudden. Those reporters, watching the majestic black security guard standing beside them, began to restrain their hands, feet, and words. It seems, these reporters really don't remember to eat. Then, sitting in his exclusive seat, he glanced at Pepper who was sitting next to him, and began to close his eyes slightly and take a break. To know, he had a good time last night. Time passed by, and it was 9 a.m. in the blink of an eye. As the bell rang, Xingyao's smartphone launch conference officially started. I saw a very handsome young man in a blue suit, Lin. Duncan walked to the front of the stage. Advertisement. He spoke confidently into the speaker. Welcome ladies and gentlemen to our Shining Star smartphone launch. I believe that Xingyao's products will never disappoint everyone. Below, I will introduce the company's product positioning. Quote. As Lin continued to speak, her tone was confident and decisive. The writers below moved the pen and paper in their hands one after another. These messages, newspapers will be available by then. After a while, Tony Tank, who was drowsy after listening to the report, suddenly got a shock. That's it for the products of Xingyao Company. Please ask reporters to ask questions below. Almost instantly, a large number of reporters began to raise their hands. When Lin saw this, the corners of her mouth twitched slightly, and she pointed at a reporter with a familiar face and shouted. Reporter 48, please ask questions. He is not stupid. This press conference is very important. If you ask any reporter to ask questions, according to their urine, dare to ask any question. Dare to talk about any topic. At that time, if you mess up your own release, you will be a muggle. Therefore, make an appointment with reporters in advance, and book the exchange of questions. Really, I saw reporter number 48 stand up and ask questions. Excuse me, Mr. Lincoln, how confident are you in your products? What do you think about the fruit company's competitors? This question is his first choice. Specifically to show the strength of their star company, and satirize the fruit company by the way. So, Lin replied confidently. Our Xingyao mobile phone system is absolutely very stable. We have tested it specially, and we are absolutely confident to surpass those competing products. Especially, some companies have not yet completed the mobile phone system, and they have openly held a press conference, which is simply teasing reporters and teasing the audience. Advertisement. We have always been very shameless about such behavior. We're pretty confident that unless the phone ages, the system runs very smoothly. Quote. The reporter below, upon hearing these words, turned on the recorder every minute and started recording. This is a good topic. The title is well thought out. Xingyao Company bombarded the fruit company and questioned its system. Close double angle bracket. Shock. Xingyao Company is doing this to its own mobile phone system. Unbelievable. Peers revealed, the fruit company actually. Well, this scene is for Lin to see. Definitely think it's the UC shock party crossing into the world of Marvel. Feeling that after this question was asked, Love has recruited several reporters one after another. But basically they answer the question of the mobile phone system. This answer is very official and off topic. Don't give them a chance to make trouble. This will not work. This caused the writers below to show dissatisfaction and prepare to make trouble. Tony Stark sees this and keeps his mind on the show. These reporters usually get a little impatient with him. If you want to make trouble at the press conference, it will really be a good show. As Lin kept picking up the scheduled reporters, asked the scheduled topics. The other reporters below began to make noise. I saw a female black reporter suddenly stood up, holding a microphone prepared in advance. Shouted loudly, Mr. Lin, what is your relationship with Tony Stark's secretary, Ms. Pepper? I heard that you had pursued her, and Stark was jealous because of it, and invested in your Stark company. Is it true? Chapter 11. A reporter who doesn't talk about martial arts. Mr. Lin, what is your relationship with Tony Stark's secretary, Ms. Pepper? I heard that you had pursued her, and Stark was jealous because of it, and invested in your Stark company. Is it true? Hearing the question from the black female reporter, Tony Tank, who was standing by to watch the show, turned black. This matter, the public is divided. But say it face to face. What's the meaning? And Pepper, who peeked at the side, saw that his face sank. At the moment, Lin was stunned. Western journalists are indeed different. In his previous life, Blue Star, he rarely heard of reporters asking about other people's scandals at the press conference. No professionalism at all, Lin snorted. Pick up the microphone and reply loudly. This reporter, I'm sorry, we need to raise our hands to ask questions. We don't approve of behavior like yours. Besides, the question you asked has nothing to do with our company's product launch. Originally, should I answer your question? But In the interest of Ms. Pepper's reputation, here I must reply clearly. During college, it was true that I had a classmate relationship with Ms. Pepper. Indeed, there was once an active pursuit. But Ms. Pepper and I are just classmates, and there is no so-called boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. And Mr. Stark, the reason why he invested in our Starlight company. Purely because Shining Star is a company with great potential, and the reality is just like that, we have developed a cross-generational smartphone product. And now, I am bent on developing the company, devoting all my energy to the development of the company, and I am not interested in pursuing women. So, please don't have related rumors, we reserve the right to complain and pursue the law. What the hell? What the hell is a reporter asking such a question? How could it be possible to answer directly? Advertisement. It's purely an enemy. You know, the current Tony Stark is not the future Iron Man. Purely a child, with a hot brain, dare to do anything. Fortunately, I was wise enough to answer this question satisfactorily. At night, you must have a good vent. That blonde girl from last night, with her long legs, was really nice. Especially that waist, tisk tisk, can play for another week. Decided. This evening, the Four Seasons Hotel started walking. As for this, it has nothing to do with the pursuit of women, it is purely a friendly transactional relationship. Purely Western. Lin thought silently in his heart, and what he didn't notice was that there was a trace of saliva flowing from the corner of his mouth. After noticing, reach out and touch it. Well, pure hunger, nothing to do with the blonde at the Four Seasons tonight. Immediately afterwards, Lin's face darkened. I saw another white female reporter stand up and quickly run to the front. With extremely dexterity, he avoided the blocking security and put the microphone directly to Lin's mouth. Ask out loud. Mr. Lin, please, it is said that this mobile phone operating system was developed by Tony Stark, otherwise your Starlight company will be dragged down by mobile phones. Excuse me, is this true? If that's the case, isn't Tony Stark the real savior of the Shining Star company? On a horse. What's the problem? This system is obviously developed by Lao Su, and it has nothing to do with Tony's tank. How can anything be related to Tony Tank? Who is he? Is he the savior? Well, it seems like the future is real. No matter. Now the question is how can this female reporter be so agile? Even the security guards can't stop them. Are all these black people eating dry food? Advertisement. Could it be? When you see a white beauty, you won't move. Lin set her eyes on the white female reporter in front of her, looking at her delicate face and slender figure, she couldn't help thinking to herself. But, Lin stared at the reporter's ID that was pushed up on the female reporter's chest, as if it was about to float. Not just a sigh. Great murder. Seeing that you are a fierce beauty, I will let you go this time. Then, he looked at the press card seriously, and said seriously. Miss Catherine, I have to make a statement about this. The mobile operating system developed by our company has nothing to do with Tony Stark. It's me doing the programming myself, and I own the full patent rights. Such a message is baseless and unconvincing. So, please don't send out any more relevant messages, otherwise we will maintain the right to prosecute. Also, your behavior just now is very dangerous and completely inconsistent with the rules of the press conference. If the same situation occurs again, I can only ask the security to ask you out. With that said, Lin motioned to the assistant Jimmy next to him with his eyes to pull away the Catherine reporter in front of him. At the same time, he gave Jimmy another suggestive look. Assistant Jimmy understood, and immediately stepped forward, reaching out to ask Catherine reporter to sit back. Then, under the strict watch of black security guards. This phenomenon never happened again. Shining Star's press conference officially ended. And Tony Stark, with a stretched face, took Pepper back to his Stark Industries. Now, he didn't want to say a word to Lin. Chapter 12 Learning with Catherine. Seeing only a huge amount of white shirt covering Catherine's body, Lin took a closer look and was amazed. Instant dry mouth. So he said with a smile. Miss Catherine, weren't you interested in our company's mobile phone operating system before? Now, I can be your teacher. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Saying that, he took Catherine's little hand and walked to the bedroom desk. Catherine cooperated very well and followed Lin towards the bedroom, and the two communicated while walking. I only heard Catherine say a little coquettishly. I heard you working on the system alone, Lin, this morning. Is this real? Lin nodded and said somewhat proudly. Definitely, looking at the whole world from a distance, in the field of programming, my ability is the top. A mere mobile operating system is very easy for me. Really, I admire a genius like you. Seeing this, Catherine asked curiously. Then may I ask, when was it developed? Why are there rumors that your father's previous company had a lot of problems with mobile phone operating systems? Seeing this, Lin smiled and said with a confident tone. I had heard that my dad, Tyler Duncan, was having trouble with this before, so I started researching it very early on. Originally, I wanted to surprise my father, but it turns out that, in this case, you are really a genius with filial piety. I want to ask, quote. While talking, the two began to learn and communicate further. The next day, early morning, Lin, who had just woken up, saw that Catherine was still sleeping, Lin got up gently and left the room for her to rest. There was a stack of rice dollars next to it. Then he drank a cigarette, walked out of the hotel, and drove to Xingyao Company by car. Advertisement. This time, it is purely to solve the confusion for female friends, and to spread the reputation of his genius by the way. As for what happened last night, this was a small price he had to pay to promote his reputation and sacrifice his masculinity. Well, Lin thought so. We'll try again tomorrow night. It is said that Tony Stark's trick is not bad, and he can learn from it at that time. Shining Star Company, Technology Department. Looking at Richard frowning tightly, Lin, who was in a good mood, laughed loudly. Uncle Richard, what's wrong? What's the problem? The matter of the mobile phone system, even if you ask, I am quite familiar with this aspect. Seeing this, Richard asked directly. Lin, regarding the Xingyao system you developed, there are some incompatibilities between his two places, which affects the boot speed. The technical department debugged for half a day, but the problem still hasn't been solved. Also, regarding the later upgrade, we found that there will be bugs. Once the upgrade package is too large, the upgrade cannot be performed at all. And also, quote. Richard asked the question while pointing at the computer. But these problems, in Lin's eyes, are little troubles. With his top programming ability in the whole world, it's like a pattern in the palm of your hand, and it's easy to find the root cause. Just say a few words and enter a few lines of code. One final test, and Richard's frowning brows relaxed. Cannot help but admire. Lin, you are a genius at programming. No, to say that geniuses are wronged, they are simply evildoers. Immediately afterwards, Richard's tone changed, as if recalling something, he said in a slightly low tone. Lin, with regard to the production of smartphones, you still have to pay more attention to this aspect. According to the original plan, at the end of June, that is, the new mobile phone will be released at the same time as the fruit company. Play the ring. Advertisement. But we only have more than 2 months left. If we can't produce enough, no matter how good the quality of the product is, it will be at a disadvantage. To know, now, whether it is shareholders or the public, what they look at is sales, and what they look at is income. If we can't match the fruit company, it will undoubtedly make others think that our company is not good. You must pay more attention to this point, otherwise. Having said that, Lin patted Richard's shoulder lightly and said comfortingly. Don't worry, regarding the production of Xingyao mobile phones, don't worry, I have already made arrangements. These are the key things about our smartphone sales. I have already arranged for the production department to connect with some large manufacturing plants. With that said, Lin looked eastward. There is a mysterious country there, and his industrial manufacturing ability and cost are among the top in the world. At this point, Lin knew it from a previous life, and at the moment he was relieved. Therefore, he has long since asked the production department to connect, and with his large number of skilled labor, he will soon be able to produce a large number of smartphones. Now, the most important thing is that after more than 2 months, the Xingyao smartphone is officially launched. To this end, he has put in a lot of effort. The first step in his rise depends on how much benefit Xingyao Mobile can get. His words follow the system. The current level is still level 1, and he can upgrade as long as he has enough wealth. Until then. Not long after the press conference ended, Rebs, chairman of the fruit company, is sitting in his office, dealing with the business at hand. As the boss of a large company, he has a lot of things to do. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Dong dong dong. Rebs came in and saw his assistant walking towards him with a report in his hand. The tone was a little unusual. Chairman, something happened at Xingyao Company, they. Chapter 13 The Disdain of the Fruit Company. The War of Scolding begins. April 6, the United States, California, Silicon Valley, Fruit Company headquarters. Rebs, chairman of the Fruit Company, sat in the main seat of the conference room with a solemn expression, looking at the managers of various departments below. Immediately afterwards, he aimed at the white man sitting first on the left, and said in a serious tone. Curry, didn't you guys investigate Shining Star Company before? I remember your previous report, saying that their Xingyao company has almost collapsed because of the development of mobile phone systems. All can be bought at a low price, but why? They developed a mobile phone operating system, we will not know until his press conference. I need an explanation. Curry looked at Rebs with a serious face, and said calmly. Chairman, I'm sorry, I'm sure, I received confirmation before that their mobile phone system has not been successfully developed. To be exact, it's not even a prototype. I obtained the system they developed through certain means, and found that there are too many bugs in it. It's only been less than a month, how can it be possible to develop a mature mobile operating system? I strongly suspect that they are completely falsifying this conference. You know, this kind of method is not uncommon for us. The goal is to raise the stock price, issue additional shares, and escape ashore. Rebs looked at Curry with a calm face, and his expression became a little surprised. Are you sure? But have you ever thought about what if Tony Stark got involved? A genius like him, maybe he made a mobile phone operating system. Hearing Reb's question, Curry said softly with a smile. Chairman, I have thought about this too. As we all know, Tony Stark's arrogant temperament, if he really developed it, would have started to shout at this conference. And this time, that young man, Lynn Duncan, openly declared at the press conference that he researched the mobile operating system. And Tony Stark didn't say anything, which just shows that he doesn't know anything about Xingyao's mobile phone operating system. More importantly, I asked his uncle Obadiah specifically. Advertisement. You know what Tony's uncle said. Speaking, Curry directly imitated Obadiah's helpless expression at the time. Hey, Tony, recently, I have been busy studying and communicating with which female models. There is no time to study any mobile phone system at all. Ha ha ha. Speaking of which, Mr. Curry obviously laughed, held back the smile in his mouth, and then said calmly. As for Lynn, we've looked into it before, and it's undeniable that he's a genius and has been praised by many Harvard professors. However, compared with a monster like Tony Stark, it is too far behind. It is absolutely impossible to develop a mobile phone operating system within a month. To know, we spent tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of people worked together, and it took a whole year to successfully develop it. Tisk tisk tisk. It's not that I laugh at them, but the R&D level of Xingyao Company, and give them another 100 years, they can't even eat our farts. Ha ha ha. For what Curry said, Rebs began to slowly nod in agreement, his expression softened. Originally, he expressed strong doubts about Xingyao Company, and when he heard Curry say this, his expression immediately relaxed. Then, some cruel smiles. Okay, since that's the case, then we should reveal their true colors this time. Otherwise, slander our fruit company without paying the price. This doesn't fit our style of Rebs. In this regard, the fruit company nodded in agreement. Indeed, without giving Xingyao Company a lesson, how can they let them know? What a humility. During the next period of time, the fruit company took the lead in launching a public opinion war against Xingyao Company. Advertisement. Informant report. Chairman Xingyao has no business operation experience, and his future prospects are worrying. Close double angle bracket. Shock. Xingyao Company even blatantly fraudulently attempted to defraud the shareholders' money. Close double angle bracket. Open double angle bracket. Close double angle bracket. On the New York Daily and many other newspapers, there are countless headlines similar to the UC shocking party. At the same time, Shining Star is not far behind. There was also a scolding war on the newspaper. Shocked by industry rumors, the fruit company's January press conference was blatantly fraudulent. Close double angle bracket. Shock. It turns out that the fruit company's mobile phone system is completely inoperable. Close double angle bracket. Open double angle bracket. Close double angle bracket. The scolding war between the two big companies made a large number of the United States viewers eat a big melon. Cursing and cursing, the two companies suddenly became popular. In the later stage, vaguely the two companies began to cooperate tacitly. You curse. I swear. Then, the United States mobile phone market has become popular, and a large number of people who eat melon are full of expectations for smartphones. Time passed slowly, and it has reached June 28, 2007. According to the trajectory of the previous Blue Star, the fruit company should officially release the fruit smartphone on June 29. Soar to the sky from now on. And this time. Fruits, Xingyao compete on the same stage. Who is the king? Just see tomorrow. Chapter 14 The Addicted Harry Osborn. June 28. Night, Los Angeles, Starlight Company. As a well-known city in the United States, Los Angeles is still brightly lit at night. I saw that on the main street, the crowd was crowded, shoulder to shoulder. Start the nightlife that belongs to Los Angeles. At the moment, Lynn is holding a meeting at Shining Star. I saw him sitting at the head of the conference room, staring at all the department managers, putting pressure on everyone. Then he said calmly, tomorrow, at 9 a.m. on June 29, we will officially sell our Xingyao smartphone, Xingyao 1. I believe everyone has worked hard during this time, but your hard work will not be in vain. As long as the number of sales exceeds 20,000 units tomorrow, everyone's bonus this year will be doubled. Then, under everyone's surprised eyes, he said slowly. If tomorrow's sales are more than the fruit company, then everyone's wages will double this month. But, Lynn's tone changed and said coldly. If there is a mistake in any aspect, don't blame me for being ruthless. Now, let's check it again. The website, system, sales and other links must be reviewed again. Make sure there are no problems with tomorrow's sales. Do you understand? As everyone nodded, Lynn strode out of the room. All the department managers were all reclining on their chairs with a sigh of relief. During this time, in order to ensure that the Xingyao mobile phone completely crushed the fruit mobile phone, he trained these managers a lot, putting a lot of pressure on them. These managers, now convinced by Lynn, were even a little scared. Say what? What to do? As for those who were unconvinced, they had already been expelled. Mi Yuan is in hand. What can't you find? The next day, at 9 a.m., all major mobile phone stores in the United States began to list Fruit One or Xingyao One. Consumers, who had been greatly interested in the war between the two sides in the past few months, walked into the store waving large sums of cash. Among them, the heir to the Osborne enterprise, Harry Osborne, is particularly concerned. As the heir to a biotech company, he is extremely interested in any high-tech tool. Smartphones appear now, a typical high-tech product, and naturally it will not be an exception. Directly ask someone to buy all Fruit One and Shining Star One with cash. He would like to see who is the better of the two mobile phone companies that have been making a lot of trouble recently. As for the lineup yourself, sorry, as the heir to the Osborne business, can't afford to lose this face. Advertisement. Then, at home waiting for the assistant to buy the latest two smartphones. In less than 2 hours, I saw that the assistant had already driven back, and then he ran over with great interest and took away the two mobile phone cases that the assistant had in his hand. Go back to your bedroom and delve into it. First open the Fruit Company's Fruit One. Hiss. As expected of a smartphone, it is truly extraordinary. I saw a black cuboid, with edges and corners, very delicate, and the front is a full-body glazed screen with gorgeous colors. There are layers of bangs on top and a small groove on the bottom. From the previous impressions, the physical keyboard and the black and white screen are suddenly different. The only downside is that the screen is a bit small for Harry, who is used to big screens. However, this does not affect usage. Long press the power button and wait for a while. I saw icons appearing on the screen, and the whole looks like some kind of technological artwork, which makes people happy. After powering on, simply try it out, open the phone book, open the memo, and so on. Found it to be quite smooth to use. Except for the occasional lag. Made a phone call, got through smoothly, and the sound quality was okay. Not bad, the Fruit Company's products can still be reused. Immediately afterwards, he turned his attention to the mobile phone case on the other side. This is a smartphone produced by Shining Star Company. Starlight One. Once opened. Wow, the two are similar in size and about the same size. But, no matter how you look at it, the screen of the Xingyao phone is bigger than that of the Fruit phone. It should be caused by the absence of bangs in the grooves below. This surprised Harry by surprise. From this point of view, Fruit One is not fragrant in an instant. Next, try to boot. Well, the boot speed is quite fast, obviously faster than Fruit One. After booting, you will see the same icon appear on the screen. However, it is obvious that the number of icons is much larger than the Fruit One. I tried one of the software again, and the opening speed is also quite smooth. Immediately after, set your sights on a ninja and fruit icon. It says, advertisement, Fruit Ninja. When Harry saw it, he knew it was a game. And the name, it looks like it is aimed at fruit companies, generally specializing in cutting fruit. Sure enough, are the two companies hostile? Ha ha ha. Then click on Fruit Ninja and start sliding. A fruit popped up on the screen, he flicked his finger, and a knife appeared to cut the fruit. Another fruit jumped out, cut it off, jumped out again, and cut it again. It's just a simple little game. However, in the process of skating, Harry was surprised to find that he had been addicted for nearly an hour. This game, it's just so much fun. As for the Fruit Company's mobile phone, there is no fun game. It's all the same type of Tetris, rubbish. Just throw it in a corner of the bedroom and don't pay attention anymore. Then, continue to open Xingyao One. Open Fruit Ninja and continue to cut fruit. After cutting for another hour, I felt a little tired. Then, suddenly remembered that there are other game icons on the phone, and immediately returned to the desktop. Find the icon of a bird that says, Angry Birds. After opening, addicted to it again. Repeated this many times until Harry felt his neck was really uncomfortable and his eyes were sore. Just looked up at the window. Good guy, it's late at night. Xingyao's mobile phone was so magical that it took him more than 10 hours. OMG, where did such an amazing product come from? The next day at 9 a.m., Silicon Valley, Fruit Company headquarters. Reb stood in the conference room excitedly, looking at the managers of all the departments below. He looked at Jack, the sales manager, and asked in a slightly urgent tone. Jack, how are our daily sales of Fruit phones? Chapter 15 Reb's shock. Seek all data support. Jack, how are our daily sales of Fruit phones? Facing Reb's question, the sales manager Jack said solemnly with a hint of joy in his voice. According to statistics, the 24-hour Fruit mobile phone sales are as high as 12 million yuan. Hearing this, Rebs clearly showed joy on his face. It sold 12 million in just one day, and it will be fermented later. With word of mouth, it has exceeded 100 million yuan. That is not a sprinkle of water. Then, some curious asked, how much is the sales of Xingyao Company? Jack replied softly, our daily sales are higher than that of Xingyao Company. We are 12 million, and the other party is only 10 million. Hearing this, Rebs showed a satisfied look and nodded subconsciously. Sure enough, the district Xingyao Company is no match for the Fruit Company that he has been running for many years. Immediately afterwards, Jack's voice was hesitant. But, hearing Jack's hesitant tone, Rebs felt a little uneasy in his heart, and said sharply. But what but? Go on. Jack said frankly. Our price is 600 meters, while the price of Xingyao's mobile phone is 400 meters. So, based on the number of sales, we sell a total of 20,000 units a day, while Shining Star Company sells 25,000 units a day. Hearing what Jack said, Reb's expression changed slightly. The difference is a full 5,000 units, which is equivalent to 1/4 of the number. This is definitely because of the price effect. Otherwise, the number of Fruit mobile phone sales will definitely go up. Rebs so comforted. So, the tone returned to normal and said to Jack. It's okay, the quality of our products is obvious to all, and sooner or later the cheap goods from Xingyao Company will have problems. At that time, our Fruit Company will still win. Said, waved his hand. Jack saw this and sat down immediately. Then Rebs talked with other department managers about the Fruit phone. After a while, all managers leave the meeting room. Then, advertisement. Rebs directly picked up the phone next to him and instructed his assistant. Buy me a copy of Xingyao's smartphone, I want to experience it. Then, go back to your office. He's not an idiot. People who can afford a smartphone these days are basically wealthy and face the only smartphone. A mere 200 yuan difference will not affect the judgment of too many people. With poor people, that's possible. This is why he dared to set the price so high. For those with thin assets, high price means high quality and are more willing to buy. Such a problem occurs. There must be some differences between the two phones that led to such a big gap in sales. If he didn't figure this out, the unease in his heart could not be suppressed. After an hour, following the assistant's footsteps, he hurried to the chairman's office. Rebs also stopped to organize the files, and he took a look. Xingyao mobile phone, what's so weird? After opening the Xingyao mobile phone, I found that there is no space left on the front of the Xingyao mobile phone, and there is a whole black screen. Suddenly a little disdain. In his opinion, being small and exquisite is king. Then, long press the power button to power on, and find that the boot speed will indeed be faster. But it should not lead to such a big difference in the number of sales between the two. Immediately afterwards, I saw a large number of icons appearing at the top of the screen after booting. Look at the names in it. Immediately, something suddenly dawned on me. Turn out to be, Xingyao mobile phone has a large number of built-in games as a selling point in advance, no wonder there is a gap in the sales volume. It seems, consumers should be attracted by the game, and he will arrange it later, and put a few games in it. Well, the number of sales should immediately surpass that of Shining Star. What to do? Advertisement. Immediately afterwards, he opened one of the games with the bird icon. Angry Birds. Well, he didn't play because he was bored. Purely for information on competing products. Then, the mood fluctuates up and down with the red bird, and the finger keeps sliding the screen. After a long time, Rebs moved his aching neck and suddenly realized. It's 1 p.m. today. Long live. This game is so fun. Immediately afterwards, he thought of something. By the way, open other games and try them one by one. The more you play, the more ugly your face becomes. What happened? The R&D ability of Xingyao Company was relatively weak from the beginning. How could it develop so many fun games? With the brains of those programmers, he couldn't believe it. This is definitely a genius in planning. In this way, Rebs was a little restless. Go on like this, 80% of the sales volume will be lower than that of Shining Star Company. No, the price must be reduced. The same price and high quality can suppress the Xingyao mobile phone. Then, Rebs began making direct phone calls with department managers. Chapter 16. The second order language follows the system. At the moment, Lin is standing in the middle of the conference room in high spirits and meeting with everyone. This time, Xingyao mobile phone won a big victory. In just 1 week, sales have exceeded 100 million yuan, and now it is nearly 200 million. The wealth value alone has gained nearly 2 million. This is a great harvest. As for Fruit companies, rubbish, Lin thought with disdain. Regardless of the high price of Fruit mobile phones that day, the daily sales volume exceeds that of Xingyao mobile phones. But that day, the number of mobile phone sales of Xingyao has exceeded 1/4 of that of Fruit mobile phones. Day 2 only. With that, the two mobile phones began to discuss on the internet and began to compare. All of a sudden, Xingyao's smartphone sales began to skyrocket. There is no change in the Fruit phone, the only change is to reduce the price to 400 meters. Well, the price is the same as that of Xingyao mobile phone. But does it work? Useless. In order to completely crush the Fruit company this time, it is best for the Fruit company to withdraw from the mobile phone industry. He moved out all the small games of the previous life. Like Fruit Killer, Angry Chick, Bounce and more. Spend more money to guide and hype it up. Good guy. Within a few days, the number of Fruit phone sales began to plummet. It has only been less than a week, and the sales volume of the other party is less than 40 million yuan. Moreover, the current daily increase in sales is only 2 or 3 million. In other words, only a few thousand units are newly added each day, and they continue to decline. To know, it's only been 7 days, and the gap between the two smartphones is already showing. Now, Xingyao mobile phone directly occupies about 60% to 70% of the entire smartphone market. It's conceivable, just work harder. You can definitely force fruit companies out of the smartphone industry. To know, smartphone research and development costs a lot of money, and the former Shining Star company almost collapsed. Moreover, this time, the fruit company has not even recovered the cost. As long as the fruit company withdraws from the mobile phone industry, it will be difficult for the United States to meet its opponents again. By the time, advertisement. Develop an open source system by yourself. Plan again. Really can control the global mobile phone market. Ha ha ha. Think about it. A little excited. It is said that the current Rebs is shouting in the company, full of anger, and showing up with a shaved face all day long, completely missing the energy he had before. It seems that the other party's life is not easy. But these are not the most important. The most important thing is that the upgrade will follow the system. According to the information, as long as the wealth value reaches 10 million, in other words, the sales volume of fruit mobile phones reaches 1 billion yuan, it can be upgraded to the second order language. By the time, the truly extraordinary ability will be revealed in front of Lin. And he will gain real self-preservation in the Marvel world. As long as the wealth value is high enough, even the ancient one magician, even the purple sweet potato, is a small kiss. In one sentence, they can lose all their abilities. Therefore, Lin looked at the sales manager and said encouragingly, Tom, we still need to work harder on the sales of Xingyao mobile phones. Even though we've had a lot of success right now, we can't take it easy. Completely crushing the fruit company and getting him out of the smartphone market is our goal. Otherwise, it's not good for them to find an opportunity to resist. Although we are not afraid, it is very troublesome. It's a real distraction for them to stay there. Watching manager Tom constantly nodding, Lin stroked his chin in satisfaction. Then look around for a week. To all the technical staff, said loudly. The success of Xingyao Mobile is just a starting point for our success. In the future, there will be more money and more MI yuan waiting for us to earn. As long as you earnestly complete the tasks assigned to you by the company will never treat you badly. Tickets, reputation will be there. Now, I hope you can walk out of the conference room with your head held high. Start the next work with full enthusiasm. Our target is. Speaking of which, I saw all the senior executives and managers of Xingyao Company shouting in unison with excited voices. Down with fruit companies and dominate the smartphone market. Advertisement. Ha ha ha. Morale is available. Lin then watched with satisfaction as all the company executives left the conference room in turn. A month later, in Los Angeles, the Shining Star Company office. Lin was holding the Los Angeles Journal in his hand, looking at the huge text on it. The fruit company was affected by the Xingyao mobile phone, the stock price fell sharply, and a large number of shareholders sold their stocks. Close double angle bracket. Seeing this, Lin nodded with satisfaction. This is a big price he paid, and he specially invited people to sing the fruit company. On the one hand, it is to further damage the reputation of the fruit company and make consumers shy away from the fruit mobile phone brand. Just ask, who dares to buy a mobile phone that is about to go bankrupt? Lin, on the other hand, is buying shares of the fruit company at a low price. He didn't forget that the fruit company was preparing to buy the shares in his hands at a low price. It's called tit for tat. Definitely, the more important thing is to completely eliminate this competitor. Once the fruit company is acquired by Xingyao Company, it will be completely powerless. You must know that although consumers may feel that the fruit system is not as good as the Xingyao system, the potential of the fruit system is there. Once there is capital injection later, it is very likely that earth-shaking changes will occur. He can vividly remember the memories of his previous life. Fruit companies are the top players in the global smartphone market. That's why Lin is so easy on the fruit company. How can I ask, in the face of such an enemy, who will not completely eliminate it, only willing to give up? But these are secondary. The most important thing right now is. Lin set her eyes on the system light curtain that appeared in front of her. I saw 3 golden fonts outlined in front of the light curtain, and the numbers behind them kept changing. Wealth value. 9,987,939. Wealth value. 9,992,924. Wealth value. 9,996,987. Wealth value. There was a sudden voice in Lin's ear. Ding, congratulations to the host, the wealth value has accumulated to 10 million, and the system is in the process of upgrading. The upgrade is successful, the current system is. Second order words follow the system. Asterisk. Chapter 17 Extraordinary Power. 7 more today. Second order words follow the system. The moment the system upgrade was successful, Lin felt her heart skip a beat. Finally, the upgrade was successful. This month, in order to break through 1 billion yuan in mobile phone sales. He works overtime. Supervise others. Now, the upgrade is finally successful. It also means Lin has extraordinary powers. Think about this. Lin looked around and saw that the concealment was strong. Said softly, "Flame." Almost instantly, a crimson flame appeared in front of Lin. Lin clearly felt that as long as his mind moved, the flames would follow the trend. Even more amazing, Lin could clearly see the space distorted by the hot flames, but he didn't feel the slightest discomfort, only a warm feeling. Slightly probed forward with his finger, and found that there was no harm, but a warm feeling appeared on his finger, as if wearing a finger caught. As for the power, Lin's mind moved, and the flame instantly moved to the trash can. Almost less than a second, I smell a burnt smell. Then, in less than 5 seconds, the trash can was completely burned, leaving only a pile of black ash marks, as if to prove the existence of the trash can. As for the smell, Lin frowned slightly and said softly, "Clean." Almost instantly, the entire space was odorless, and even Lin could smell a faint scent. Lin nodded in satisfaction, although not experienced a real battle, but with the previous power. As long as hundreds of people don't come to besiege him, he can be completely strangled in just 1 minute. If there are less than 10 people, it can be killed instantly. Advertisement. But defense power has not been tested here. After all, this is a modern world, and there are snipers, and if they snipe themselves from a distance, it would be really troublesome. Mind turning. Suddenly, Lin said tentatively. Solid sharp intuition. Almost instantly, Lin saw that the wealth value in the system was greatly reduced, and the consumption stopped by nearly 1/5. A full 2 million wealth value was consumed. But Lin was very pleased with the results, and he now clearly felt safe here. At the same time, he can also feel that not far away are other people respecting and even admiring him. As for malice, Lin sensed that there was a slight evil and weak malice coming from the far west, looming, barely noticing, not even aware of it. That direction is exactly the direction of Silicon Valley. Don't think about it at all, it's definitely the fruit company, especially Rebs. Now, under Lin's deliberate suppression and guidance, the fruit company is about to collapse, and it is natural to have malicious intent. This bit of malice, Lin didn't take it to heart. However, the behavior just now made Lin very happy. Although he has a system of speaking out and following the law, he is currently an ordinary person. If you don't have time to use words and dharmas in a short time, then you have no resistance to ability at all. However, there is a function of curing. Then, the picture and ability imagined by Lin can be realized. So, Lin said aloud. Strengthening doubles physical fitness. Almost instantly, Lin felt a strange energy pouring into her body. During the pouring process, she could clearly feel the tearing and pain in her muscles. It made him scream uncontrollably. However, after a minute or so, the energy stopped instilling. Lin clenched his fist hard and waved it far away, and could clearly feel a powerful force bursting out of his muscles. Feel free to jump and find that you are jumping higher and farther than before. If the previous physical fitness was just an ordinary person, then the current physical fitness is definitely a professional and strictly trained soldier. Advertisement. This made Lin sigh. Really? Plugins can make one step to the sky. It is impossible for ordinary people to achieve this quality without training for 7 or 8 years. As for consumption, Lin glanced at it, about 200,000 wealth value. Tisk tisk. Not too expensive, but not cheap either. So, Lin wanted to try harder, so she said softly. Strengthening twice the physical fitness. Almost at the same time, a light curtain appeared in front of Lin, which was a reminder of the system. Ding. After testing, it takes 400,000 wealth points for strengthening to double physical fitness. At the same time, it is very likely that the muscles will be seriously damaged due to multiple energy infusions in a short period of time. It is recommended to carry out strengthening after 10 days. Excuse me, do you continue to strengthen your physical fitness? Hearing the system reminder, Lin immediately stopped talking. If you don't listen to the system, you will suffer in front of you. In short, 10 days, it is not impossible to wait. Then, the hut began to crackle. I saw what Lin said constantly. Gather water. Lightning. Wind blade. Decay. Weak. Quote. Quote. After a long time, with Lin's, back to the original. In an instant, everything in the office floated and then returned to its original position. Even if the item is damaged, it will start to be repaired automatically. The whole scene makes people feel like they are controlled by magic, and there is quite a feeling of Harry Potter's magic. Chapter 18 SHIELD's Surprise. Lin is still very satisfied with the secondary performance method follow-up system. But, at one point, Lin felt a little sullen. Originally, Lin saw that the system could solidify some abilities and strengthen physical fitness. Then, I want to solidify some extraordinary abilities for myself, such as the power to control the wind, the power of fire, the power of water, etc. In this way, you can use the extraordinary ability directly without consuming the wealth value. Will greatly save consumption. Result. The system replies to the current level of speech and language, which is not supported by the system. A higher level of speaking can solidify the extraordinary ability. So, no one else feels discouraged, isn't it just to make money, he is good at this. With his system and his previous life experience, his goal is to be the richest man in the world. Ha ha ha. Thinking of this, Lin's mouth curved into a slight smile. Go ahead and start sorting out the work at hand. Now. Making money is the priority. After all, 100 million wealth value is the standard for the third-order performance method to be opened with the system. And now, the Marvel world has not yet opened, and Tony will become Iron Man, and there will be nearly a year left. The remaining stable days need to develop well. Lay the foundation for the future crisis. Dot 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 dot. Half a month later, Manhattan, New York, Trident Building. Advertisement. This is the Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau, which is the future S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters. In the director's office, Nick Fury was slightly holding the table with both hands. His face was a little ugly. He stared sharply at the middle-aged white man opposite, and said slowly. Phil Coulson, give me a reason. Why? We trained the agent for a long time and can't sneak into a mobile phone company. Tell me why. Speaking of which, Nick Fury's tone was obviously surprised. He is well aware of his own training of agent ability, how many times he has completed difficult tasks before, and now he can't even sneak into a mobile phone company. Doesn't this show that there is a problem? It doesn't matter if something goes wrong. But why hasn't a reason been given yet? In this regard, Phil Coulson agent was also silent for a while. He did not expect such a result at all. Originally, the director said this task, he thought it was a trivial matter, just arrange one of his agents to complete it. As a result, just after sending an agent, he was rejected not long after he joined the company. You must know that the identity of this agent has been carefully forged, and all aspects, including academic ability, are excellent, and most people can't find any problems at all. So I was a little surprised at the time, but I didn't think much about it, and then changed to another person. As a result, 3 times in a row, all were rejected. This makes Phil Coulson feel a little tricky. Even if the stock price of a mere mobile phone company has risen sharply recently and the development trend is very good, it will never happen. This is not the military. And, even the military, the people they arranged would not notice it so quickly. Originally, Phil Coulson, who was a little puzzled by the director's arrangement of this job, immediately began to look serious. Fully investigate this company. Result. Found everything without any problems. In addition to the fact that the current chairman Lin's father was in a car accident for some strange reasons, and that Lin is too talented. It's really a bit strange, there's no incongruity to be found. The whole company is really clean. Advertisement. Or. After Lin's management of the company, there are all very loyal people, not even a commercial spy. In fact, during this time, Lin has been involved in the following things in the company. Or, the company's development situation is all good, he is idle and bored, so he walks around. And he takes this aspect of the company's employment very seriously. In the previous life, he was tricked and owed a lot of debt, which was due to the betrayal of his confidants. So, live another life, for loyalty. In terms of heart level, he is quite concerned. Then, every time the company concentrated on recruiting people, he would watch silently by the side. Then, say something softly. I think. People who enter the company with bad intentions should be dizzy. Result. A large number of commercial espionage, including S.H.I.E.L.D., and even Hydra agents have been cleared out. Definitely, Lin didn't know that S.H.I.E.L.D. was involved with Hydra people. In his opinion, it must be arranged by a hostile company's commercial espionage. So, mercilessly all rejected. So it's causing trouble for Phil Coulson and even the guys over at Hydra. In their opinion, a mere mobile phone company, not a key department such as the military or the CIA, is naturally surprised by such a result. Could it be, which giant crocodile company was launched by Xingyao Company? But, no matter how you check, you can't find the pusher behind it. So, there's Nick Fury questioning Phil Coulson. Seeing this, Phil Coulson replied in a cautious tone. Director. Chapter 19 The Surprise of Black Widow Natasha Romanoff. Seek data support. Director. I don't think it's a matter of latent work anymore. It's an anomaly. The agents I personally trained, we all know their abilities and experience. It's impossible not to lurk into an ordinary tech company. I applied, directly transferred out the top agent in the bureau, lurked to investigate in person, and the investigation was clean. Or, simply use the official name to investigate this company. Nick Fury was silent for Phil Coulson's suggestion, and then said calmly. Don't worry about this, I'll arrange it. Hearing what the director said, Phil Coulson didn't say much. He called Roar and walked out of the director's office. Although he is very interested in Xingyao Company, he has a lot of things on his hands. If it wasn't for the fact that the director told him to do this task well, he wouldn't be paying attention to this matter. Nick Fury frowned slightly after seeing Phil Coulson gone. Then he picked up the phone next to him and said into the phone. Call Natasha Romanoff agent here. Then, start processing the files in hand. To be honest, he didn't really take it too seriously. Tyler Duncan is special if it weren't for Lin's father. He was a member of Captain America's Roaring Commando and later one of the founders of the Homeland Strategic Defense Offensive and Logistics Agency. He won't pay attention. And this time, the agent was dispatched to lurk in the company he left behind. It's not because the accident was so weird. It had to remind him of the death of Tony's parents, Howard, many years ago. Although outside they reported that it was because of a car accident, totally accidental. But in fact, this matter was handled by him himself, and he knew exactly what was weird in it. And Lynn's father, Taylor, seemed suspicious and left the bureau to start the company. Advertisement. There has been no contact for so many years, and the two sides treat each other as if they do not exist. But there was a car accident some time ago. According to the investigation, there were human factors in it. He had to make him suspect that Taylor had obtained key information, and the mysterious strength of that party had shot again. So, he asked Phil Coulson to send someone to sneak into the company, and it was best to get key information. Even if you can't get it, by observing Lynn's actions, it is possible to find the traces of the mysterious forces. However, a strange place appeared. He carefully trained the agent, and he has sneaked into the secret place many times and obtained a lot of information, but he lost his hand in a company. It really got him interested. After a while, there was a knock on the door. Boom, boom, boom. Director, it's me. Hearing the familiar voice, a smile flashed across Nick Fury's face, but it turned serious. Come in, Natasha Romanoff, agent. With the sound of the door opening, Black Widow Natasha Romanoff, dressed in a tight black battle suit, entered the office. He strode directly to Chief Fury and asked very neatly. Director, is there anything I need to do? The two were very familiar with each other, and Fury tapped on the desk and said bluntly. Natasha Romanoff, I have a mission for you. Saying that, handed the documents on the desk to Black Widow Natasha Romanoff. After Natasha Romanoff took the document, she glanced at it carefully, frowned slightly, and asked curiously. If the information is true, this company is indeed a little weird. But, after I successfully infiltrated this company, what is my mission? Black Widow is very confident in his ability and doesn't think he will fail at all. Advertisement. Nick Fury seems to know what kind of person Black Widow is, admitting frankly. First of all, it is to find out exactly how he screened out our agents. Secondly, pay attention to the people around him, and have not contacted some other organizational forces. At last, having said that, Fury frowned slightly and said with a sigh. Try to keep him safe. After all, the opponent's father has a close relationship with the Bureau, and Lynn also has a lot of money in his hands, so there may be cooperation in the future. Black Widow was obviously surprised at Nick Fury's last request. But her agent literacy over the years made her reply directly. It is good. I'll go to the intelligence department to get information about Lynn and his company first, and then make a plan. Watching Chief Fury nodded, Black Widow Natasha Romanoff left directly. Then, after a brief thought, no more thought. You know, as the director of the Homeland Strategic Defense, Attack and Logistics Support Bureau, it can be said that he is a daily manager. There are countless jobs for him to approve every day. For example, a large number of agents are already very dissatisfied with such a long name of their own organization. Frequent applications. Must respond. Also have to change a simple and domineering point of the name. The idea is basically there. It's called SHIELD, Shelled. Abbreviated name for the Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency. However, the council has been holding on to this small issue, which made him very dissatisfied. I have to work harder, find my old boss, Alexander Pierce, and ask him to talk again. To be honest, he was also very dissatisfied with such a long name in the Bureau. Chapter 20 Hydra Traces. Please ask for all support. Night, Los Angeles, Lucifer Bar. Although it is night, the night in Los Angeles is even louder than the day. Because the nightlife has just begun. And Lynn himself is also very interested in the nightlife of Los Angeles. He had never been abroad in the previous life, and the memory of the original body was feasting. He's also been experiencing the bustling Los Angeles nights recently. By the way, you can also find beautiful Oni-san to study and exchange at the hotel together. Ha ha, he came to the bar with the mentality of learning. Not long after sitting at the bar, he started dancing with everyone. After dancing for a while, I felt tired, so I sat up in a nearby seat where beautiful women gathered. With his superb chatting skills, it didn't take long for them to start hugging each other. How uncomfortable. You take a sip, I take a sip, drinking slowly. By the way, exchange and learn the knowledge of body parts. Feels very good, big and small. No, knowledge is very good, but there are too many categories. After having fun, just say a word to Roar. All consumption tonight will be paid by Mr. Lin. Suddenly, the bar was boiling. And there are more and more female friends around, so he needs to learn a lot of knowledge. Haha, so hilarious. After playing for a while, I suddenly found that there was a beautiful white woman sitting on the bar not far away, looking at Oni-san who was absolutely in shape, and her body was tightly wrapped, and her hot-blooded figure was fully revealed. It's his type. Somewhat surprised, the other party had been drinking suffocating wine there and did nothing. Then, Lin sat directly next to him, ready to strike up a conversation. Result. Advertisement. Seeing the other person's face, he immediately woke up. This woman is very familiar. Or, with Lin's powerful memory, I found that I have seen each other's figures frequently in recent days. We met again at the bar tonight. Are you saying it's amazing? No, it's not something that can be solved by magic, it can be said to be weird. Even, Lin can be sure that someone deliberately designed it. The other party's face, figure, dress and so on are completely in line with Lin's preferences. If ordinary people meet, there is absolutely no resistance to ability. This can't help but make him wonder, which force, in order to get close to him, actually displayed such a beautiful trick. It's completely in line with his liking, and this is so attentive. Then, sitting next to him, he picked up the wine glass and gave a slight gesture, and started to strike up a conversation with his superb chatting skills. After all, the enemies are here, so we have to see who it is. Hello, I'm Lin, what's your name? Roar. Beauty Oni-san replied coldly. I'm Emily Marcy. If you have nothing else to do, please leave immediately. I don't have time to chat now, I just want to drink. Then started drinking booze. This high cold energy is really in line with his liking, and he likes the high cold Oni-san to communicate with. Take the former Catherine reporter, for example. I have to say, the preparation is really in place. Then, Roar directly to the bartender, stretched out his hand and said with a smile. I'll pay for Miss Emily's consumption tonight. By the way, get the best wine you have here. As he spoke, he observed Emily Marcy's expression. Sure enough, there was a hint of joy on her face, which did not escape Lin's eyes. Then the two started chatting. Advertisement. Miss Emily, I know the owner of this bar very well. Quote. Next, everything went smoothly, your words and my words. Slowly getting closer and closer, and even starting to have a negative distance. Drinking more and more alcohol. Lin found that the other party was trying to get him drunk, and Emily's boldness in drinking made him a little ashamed. Pity. His physical fitness has been blessed, and in terms of drinking, it can be said that he can't pour a cup. Otherwise he wouldn't come to the bar. As a result, Lin was not drunk yet, and the other party had already begun to be drunk. With his keen intuition, Lin clearly felt that the other party was starting to let down his guard. So, run the words and follow the fate, said softly. I think. You will truthfully say the forces behind you and the purpose, and forget what you said. At the same time, as if thinking of something, he uttered another sentence. I think. At this moment, the communication between the two will not be known to anyone outside by any means. Almost instantly, in a secret room thousands of miles away, a white man wearing earphones suddenly made a harsh chirping sound. He directly picked up the earphone and threw it fiercely into the distance. After a while, it was found that the headset was not beeping, but it was found that a previous recording had been damaged. But I didn't care, this kind of thing happens occasionally. System failure. Just a small question, continue to observe the conversation that follows. At the same time, Emily said in a stiff tone as if being controlled. I am affiliated with Hydra Los Angeles. Quote. Quote. According to the order, the goal is to obtain Tyler Duncan's relic, to explore. Quote. Quote. As Emily continued to talk, Lin's face slowly became more and more ugly. Turn out to be. Chapter 21 Tyler Duncan's secret. Ask for a flower evaluation. Lin has just traveled for a few days, and hasn't enjoyed the life of the rich second generation. Suddenly, I got the news of my parents' car accident. Definitely, I didn't think much of it. The parents of the traveler died. Isn't this a common plot in past life novels? Most. Affected by the memory of the original body, I feel a little sad. In addition, the company just inherited has found a big problem. I didn't put my mind on the car accident of my parents, held a funeral hastily, and began to deal with these messy things in the company. But, he was very surprised to hear what the Emily agent Oni-san said in front of him. According to the original memory, his father Tyler Duncan was just an ordinary businessman. The most money you make is more, and the company you open is a little big. But not particularly top-notch. Did not expect. It's actually related to S.H.I.E.L.D. No, it's now called Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support. Even more unexpectedly, his father turned out to be a member of Captain America's Howling Commando. And this death in a car accident was arranged by Hydra. And the reason? It was Tyler Duncan who found out about Hydra. So it was silenced. And this agent was sent to test whether Lin knew about the matter, and by the way, to see if he could find the information left by Tyler Duncan. If necessary, clean it up in time. Kill Lin if necessary. Hearing this, Lin's face suddenly darkened. He hasn't troubled Hydra yet, and HYDRA's people actually want to kill him. If it weren't for the fact that I couldn't catch the traces of Hydra now, I would just use words to destroy them. After Emily finished speaking, her expression suddenly recovered, as if she was stunned for a moment, and said with a smile. What? Where did I just say? Completely unaware of everything that just happened. Advertisement. Lin naturally returned to her original expression and began to chat. Just put your hands and feet down slightly. Chatting and chatting, when the phone rang, Lin called Roar and left the bar directly. Before leaving, he settled everyone's accounts. Thoroughly everyone performed a show, what is bold and what is rich. As for, do you want to go to the hotel with Emily to study and communicate in the evening? Lin thought about it for a moment, then categorically refused. Although Emily is very in line with his aesthetics, all aspects completely hit his cool point. Because of the task, there will be no rejection of him. But he is very jealous of Hydra people. These agents are ruthless, and there are no taboos in order to achieve their goals. After going to the hotel, it's cool, but maybe the other party will steal some jeans or something. For him, although it didn't affect him, he felt disgusted in his heart. And now, the most important thing is to go home and see if there is anything missing. In the event that Tyler Duncan's relics are found, he counts the traces of Hydra. If necessary, through this certain clue, it is impossible to take the opportunity to pull it up. With Lin who speaks his words, he has this confidence. At night, Duncan Villa. When Lin returned home, seeing the empty villa, there was a flash of nostalgia in his eyes. Recently, I haven't stayed at home for a long time, either in the company or in the hotel to learn time management. Occasionally go home, just grab some things, or take a nap. On the second day, I rushed to the company. To be honest, I really didn't take a good look at this villa. Back then, he was still in the bedroom of the villa on the first day of time travel, not daring to go out, and kept looking back on the memories of his original body. For fear of making mistakes and omissions, causing the suspicion of parents. After all, this kind of thing cannot be explained at all. After his parents died in a car accident, he completely relaxed and followed his own temperament completely. Advertisement. But, when I get home tonight, I really have to take a good look at it to see if there are some little secrets that I haven't found. Then, Lin, who was about to show his words, was stunned for a moment, as if thinking of something. Whisper softly. I said. Any monitoring method here is completely ineffective at this moment, and no one has found anything abnormal. Almost instantly, Lin heard a bang, 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 and bang in the villa. All of a sudden, his face darkened. These Hydras really have no taboos, and they put so many monitoring devices in the villa abruptly. No, we have to change the villa. In fact, most of them are installed under the command of Phil Coulson, and it is really impossible to enter the company, so let's monitor it from the side. After all, the task assigned by the director must be completed. Hydra is a black pot. Oh, Snake Shield Bureau, that should not be considered a black pot. Afterwards, Lin didn't think much of it anymore, her face straightened, and she said loudly. I said. Villa range, all the items that Tyler Duncan had in his 5 days before his death appeared in front of me. Almost instantly, the villa began to make a small sound. Some clothes began to float by themselves, and some safes began to open automatically, letting the contents float in Lin's direction. This scene is like Dumbledore casting magic. It's amazing. After a while, Lin looked at the items lined up in front of her and began to look carefully. Clothing. Certainly not. Toothbrush. It doesn't matter. Stockings. Lin felt a chill, and turned to the next piece. After a long time, Lin stepped. His eyes were placed on a black U-disc. Chapter 22 Information on the black U-disc. Look at the black USB flash drive floating in front of you. Lin's eyes flashed brightly. This U-disc, he has no impression. You know, in the original body's memory. From time to time, he would borrow his parents' computer, USB flash drive, etc. He even turned over the safe. Definitely, mainly because of lack of money. But, he had no impression of this U-disc, which aroused his interest. More importantly, it seemed like I saw just now that this USB flash drive was floating out of my bedroom. His own room, he still doesn't know. I have never seen such a thing at all, it is definitely placed in a very secret corner. U-disc, a device for storing information, is also kept in his own house, and it is also very secret. So Lin had to be suspicious. Then glanced at other things and found that it was impossible to save any information. He said casually, return to the original position. Almost instantly, everything before floated back to where it had been in an extremely regular manner. Except for the black USB stick in Lin's hands. With the USB stick in his hand, Lin walked to his bedroom, turned on the computer, and plugged it in. Attempt to open the USB flash drive, and a password appeared on the computer screen in an instant. With password lock protection. It's a real hammer, and there's definitely important information in it. Then, Lin said softly, unlock the password automatically. The voice fell, accompanied by a strange fluctuation, and 16-digit letters appeared in the input box, flashed slightly, and directly entered the U-disc folder. Seeing this scene, Lin nodded in satisfaction. Advertisement. The second-order speech method is easy to use. It can initially interfere with things and trigger extraordinary power. Unfortunately, it has to be targeted to be effective. Otherwise, I just stayed in the villa, said the last Hydra clue, and waited for the USB flash drive to automatically float over. It is because the goal is too vague that he is not sure if there are any clues in the villa. So, there is no way to make it work at all. Only a compromise method can be used to screen step by step. Fortunately, the means work, and it doesn't take much effort. Take a closer look at the various files in the U-disk. This mouse keeps moving and clicking. Lin also read slowly. As I read it, a thoughtful look appeared on my face. After a long time, roar, Lin let out a foul breath and frowned slightly. Most of the information on this U-disk is about the Howard car accident case. According to the information, Lin's father Tyler Duncan, because the Howards were involved in a car accident, suspected that S.H.I.E.L.D. had serious problems, so he chose to leave S.H.I.E.L.D. and investigate independently. However, after a long investigation, no effective clues were found. After marrying Lin's mother, she started her own business. As you grow your company, don't forget to keep investigating. There was still no gain. As a result, some time ago, he suddenly saw the figure of a person, which caused him to be alert. And this person is Baron Strucker. This guy, Tyler Duncan has dealt with, is a member of Hydra. I thought I was dying of old age, but now it appears again, still so young. Immediately aroused Taylor's vigilance. Then conduct an investigation, obtain some information, and find that Baron Strucker seems to be looking for an existence called Inhumans. Further investigation was prepared and the result was found. Advertisement. In the end, I only had time to hide the USB drive, and I hadn't told Lin yet. He was directly killed in a car accident by Hydra. Seeing this, Lin shook her head slightly, helplessness on her face. He knew all this information. He even knew how the Howards died, including how young Baron Strucker was. It's not Winter Soldier, isn't it, Jiang? Tyler Duncan's family, the injustice of death. Unfortunately, most of the information on the USB drive has little value. The only valuable information is some industry information belonging to Hydra and the information collected by Baron Strucker. However, mastering this is enough to deal with the forces under Baron Strucker. Although it is still impossible to completely distort a person's mind and will through words. But it is not a problem to torture the information, pour some dirty water, and guide. When necessary, direct Nick Fury and Baron Strucker to work. Seeing this, he put away the U-disk in his hand and prepared to save it. To know, although the information in the USB flash drive was of little value to him, placing it in any outside force would definitely cause huge amounts of shock. For Lin, with this USB stick, it is completely possible to communicate with S.H.I.E.L.D. At that time, the status and the treatment will definitely not be weaker than Tony Stark. Just being the son of the founder of S.H.I.E.L.D. is quite valuable. At that point, it's possible to have a relationship with Captain America Rogers or even Peggy Carter, the former director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Lin doesn't know yet. With his identity, Nick Fury is willing to send his confidant, Black Widow Natasha Romanoff, to protect him. The next day, at the office of the chairman of Shining Star Company. Lin was frowning tightly, looking at the two profiles in her hands. Both of them were very familiar to him. They are Hydra Emily and S.H.I.E.L.D. Natasha Romanoff. Chapter 23 Hydra's S.H.I.E.L.D. Add more updates to Ars Monthly Pass. Lin had wanted to hire an assistant secretary. To be honest, the original assistant, Jimmy, is doing okay. He had been working as his father's assistant before, and he had been doing well. But, a middle-aged white man works as a secretary. This made Lin, a self-proclaimed young man, a little nervous. He decided that Jimmy has served the company for many years and is very attentive. He can be promoted again and let him be an executive. I want a Oni-san secretary assistant who is young, beautiful, energetic and capable. It is best to be willing to study with him and make progress together, that is naturally the best. Definitely, as an assistant secretary, the most important thing is to be loyal, so he has to check it himself. Well, it has nothing to do with seeing what they look like in advance. But, who can tell him that he is simply applying for a commercial secretary assistant? As a result, S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra respectively sent people to go undercover Starlight Company. Also popped out a top agent Black Widow Natasha Romanoff. Although I just learned about my relationship with S.H.I.E.L.D. yesterday. But S.H.I.E.L.D. is too rude, just stuff people right here. Good guy, still a top agent. It's just a mobile phone company, although it's developing very well, so what? This is not a military enterprise or CIA, the military. Do they have so many S.H.I.E.L.D. personnel? Can top agents be wasted as they please? Lin murmured inwardly. Well, Lin didn't know about his previous screening for commercial spies, which completely piqued Nick Fury's interest. However, Lin thought about it, a weird smile on his face. Then, the interview for the assistant secretary began. The next day, Xingyao Company. At the moment, outside the conference room, a large number of young and beautiful energetic women in business secretary outfits sat on the benches outside. Holding his resume in his hand, as if waiting for something. Mouth kept talking. The first rule of thumb as a secretary. Advertisement. Second rule. Well, it seems that the secretary recruitment issued by Shining Star Company is indeed very attractive. There is still about an hour before the official interview. I saw one after another of young and beautiful women sitting outside waiting. Black Widow Natasha Romanoff also walked slowly in the direction of the conference room. Wearing the same light black secretary outfit, her hair was up, and after some grooming, she fully revealed her hot figure. Typical Oni-san. She walked swaying with high-heeled shoes quite confidently. This dress was specially arranged according to the information of the intelligence department. Lin this person, according to the sorting of information. Good guy. Full Oni-san control. Since the successful release of Xingyao mobile phone, I dare not say that I communicate with Oni-san in bed every day, but this is running to the hotel every few days. Moreover, the requirements for appearance are quite high. The level of lust is not bad compared to Tony Stark. It is said that his physical strength is still very good and his physical fitness is quite strong. According to tabloid rumors, the Catherine reporter who asked questions at the press conference was kneeling and begging for mercy. Just a little. Much better than Tony Stark. Sure enough, being young is good. Natasha Romanoff thought to herself. At the moment's Black Widow Natasha Romanoff almost walked outside the conference room, took a quick glance, and found that most of her looks were nothing like hers. Satisfied nodded. Sudden. For a while, I found that there was a woman who was dressed very similar to her. If it wasn't for the color of the clothes, it could even be said that she was wearing a shirt. Dressed exactly according to Oni-san's template. The popularity of her figure is comparable to hers, and even in terms of stature, the other party is slightly taller. Good guy. This person is a formidable opponent to fully meet Lin's needs in all aspects. Natasha Romanoff thought with narrowed eyes. Pity. Advertisement. The Shining Star Company secretary was only recruited by one person and had to be excluded in order to ensure the task was carried out perfectly. Thinking of this, Natasha Romanoff tapped the earphones and whispered. Investigate the identity information of the previous women. It is possible that there will be a small accident and the other party will leave the recruitment. Well, it's definitely not because of being told to take revenge, it's purely to complete the task better. Only when he heard the sound of receiving from the earphone, Black Widow Natasha Romanoff didn't take the other party to heart. With the ability of S.H.I.E.L.D., what can an ordinary woman be like, no matter how beautiful she looks? After 10 minutes, suddenly, a serious voice came from the earphones. I only heard the deep voice of the information department thousands of miles away. Natasha Romanoff agent, note that the identity of this woman is questionable and there is a possibility of forgery. At present, the information department is closely investigating. Hearing the words from the headset, Black Widow Natasha Romanoff flashed a serious look on his face. But then, with good agent quality, there is still a shallow smile on his face. It was as if nothing was heard. It seems. This time it may be to meet a colleague. I said, why is the other party's dress so similar to her? It seems that the information work is not bad. This mission seems a little interesting. And the woman she was investigating, if Lin was here, would have found out right away. The other party is Hydra agent Emily. Wait a while. The door of the conference room opened, and the young women lining up outside began to enter the conference room one by one. Start the interview. As one after another went in, Emily had completed her interview. Immediately afterwards, someone only heard a loud roar sound. Next, Windsor Nicole. I saw that Black Widow Natasha Romanoff stood up and walked towards the main entrance of the conference room. P.S. The new book is begging for flowers to reward the monthly ticket evaluation ticket. Today's data is even worse than yesterday. Yesterday at least some bigwigs voted for monthly votes, but today there is nothing. In the new book period, I beg for all support. The author wants to add more. As long as you meet the add-on rule, staying up late will also add more. Asterisk. Chapter 24 Lin watching the show. Miss Windsor Nicole, first of all I'm here to tell you some good news. Because the chairman has a lot of business, this time we will recruit one more person, which means we will recruit 2 commercial secretaries. So, please try to relax, don't be too nervous. When Natasha Romanoff heard what the interviewer said, she froze for a moment, but didn't pay much attention. Recruitment. Increase or decrease the number of places during interviews, although rare, but there have been many, especially in large companies, the number of times is relatively frequent. Then, I heard the interviewer on the opposite side and began to ask. Miss Windsor Nicole, what do you know about commercial secretaries? What do you think is the most important thing about being a secretary? For the interviewer's question, Natasha Romanoff looked very familiar and glanced at Lin Duncan who was sitting next to him. He said softly, I think, as a professional secretary to the chairman, you should think what the boss thinks and worry about what the boss is anxious about. All work should be centered around the needs of the boss. Quote. Quote. The interviewer and Natasha Romanoff kept asking and answering, which seemed very natural and showed good secretarial qualities. Natasha Romanoff glanced at the answer and saw Lin Duncan, nodding slightly, his face more confident. After a while, all the problems were over. Black Widow Natasha Romanoff follows the process out of the room while the interviewer begins interviewing the next candidate. And Lin at the moment whispered in the interviewer's ear. Include Windsor Nicole as a candidate. Then, see how the next candidate performs. After all, he really needs a secretary to assist in the work, and after these 2 annoying spirits are gone, he has to quickly find a replacement. Lin squinted at the thought. Dot 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 dot. The next day, at 9 a.m., Shining Star Company, the chairman's office. At the moment, two hot Oni-sans are standing in front of Lynn. Exactly, Shield Natasha Romanoff and Hydra Emily. Miss Windsor Nicole, Miss Emily Marcy. Next, I hope you two can cooperate with me to complete a series of tasks. I have a lot of things to do, so you should complete each task as soon as possible, and require the means to be neat and tidy, without leaving any flaws. Lin looked at the two Oni-san in front of him who completely matched his aesthetic, and said in a deep voice. Seeing the two secretaries nodded and looked at each other, there was a hint of unwillingness to fall behind or hostility. Seeing this scene, a strange smile flashed in Lin's eyes. Advertisement. Then, he took out a stack of documents and handed them to the two secretaries in two separate batches, and said directly. Here's some information, you guys look at it first and then monitor their progress. You are busy with this matter first, and don't get involved with the others. At Lin's orders, the two nodded, walked out of the office with the documents, returned to their desks, and read them carefully. After all, as a secretary, you have to work hard at first, and then you can do some small actions after gaining the boss's trust. There was a smile on Lin's face as she watched them work hard. What if it's an agent? When you come to him, you have to work diligently. He will never give up until the two of them are tired enough to resign. Now, let the two of them roll up. Whoever works harder, his attitude is more inclined to whoever, and the other person will naturally work harder. So, isn't it rolled up? Definitely. Involving company secrets, there is absolutely no possibility for the two to touch. That was the basis for his wealth. Pity. He originally wanted to learn and communicate with the new secretary, but was disturbed by these two hateful agents. Tonight, must make up for it back. Dot 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 dot. At the moment, Lin, sitting in the office, pondered for a while. Opened the laptop in front of him and said softly. Automatically program smartphone open source system. The moment the words fell, with a strange wave, the computer began to automatically display a large amount of code. The speed makes all programmers ashamed. Seeing this scene, a smile appeared on Lin's face. The second-order performance method, as long as he has a certain knowledge, can automatically do anything within the scope of ability for him. For example, he has master-level programming skills, as long as the goal is clear, he can automatically program. Definitely, if you control what you say now, program an artificial intelligence. It's not possible at the moment because he doesn't have the knowledge. And the reason for programming open-source systems. Because according to the memory of the previous life, the Android system will be officially released in November, and now it is September, and they must be officially released in advance. Advertisement. Now, relevant departments of the company are already guiding public opinion in this regard. Just wait, the open source system can be successfully programmed and released to the outside world. By the time, although I dare not say that it will immediately seize all the Android market, it is absolutely no problem to seize most of the market. You know, the system he programmed is much more stable than Android. And now the cash flow of Xingyao Company can be said to be rich. Willing to spend money to promote it on a large scale. At present, the sales of mobile phones have exceeded 2 billion yuan and are moving towards 3 billion. Although the wealth value in his hand has been depleted for a while, there is still about 10 million left. It just so happened that everything at hand was handed over to the secretary, and now I have nothing to do. Can take another shot. I believe that both Hydra and Shield are undercover and should have consumed all their share of bad luck in the recent period. He should be able to become the Emperor of Europe for a period of time without asking too much, even once. Thinking of this, the system roar took out the lottery roulette and said to the system boldly. Let's get a 10 draw first. Ding, consume 1 million wealth points, in the lottery. Lin was not surprised by the sound from the system. Originally, a system of lottery roulette was drawn once for 10,000 wealth points. After the system is upgraded, the lottery roulette will be upgraded synchronously, and it is said that the value of the prize will be higher. The consumption will become a 100,000 wealth value draw once. It didn't take long to see it, and I saw a light curtain appearing in front of me, which was the result of my own lottery. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained a copy of university physics knowledge. Congratulations to the host, getting a scanning pen. Congratulations to the host for acquiring professional painting skills. Quote. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained a copy of professional artificial intelligence knowledge. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained a prehistoric artificial intelligence. Chapter 25 Artificial Intelligence. Lin has just seen the first few draw announcements. Really showing a satisfied look. The performance method of level 1 follows the system, which is really stupid. After smoking it hundreds of times, I can draw out toilet paper, and even stockings, such strange things as condoms. It made Lin's mouth twitch. The quality is too low. The second level performance method is much better than the level 1 system. Although the value is still not very high. All found are usable, and even the probability of finding skills is much higher. There was a trace of comfort in Lin's heart. Really? A wealth value of 100,000 points is much better than a wealth value of 10,000 points. At least there were no more bizarre things like condoms. Although the quality is good, he really has no shortage of this stuff. At last, seeing the last two lottery announcements, Lin almost jumped up with excitement. What do you really want? What? Sure enough, Shield and Hydra took over the share of my recent bad luck. Every dog has his day. To be honest, since Lin came to the Marvel Universe and inherited the company. Seeing a lot of clutter to deal with, especially want an AI similar to JARVIS. The high-level artificial intelligence can immediately follow a simple command. And work hard without complaint, 24 hours a day. As long as the server does not fail, he can always supervise, guide, and perform tasks. Moreover, as long as you are willing to increase the number of servers, you can really withstand the workload of thousands of people. Lin believes that Tony Stark has only hired Pepper as a secretary so far. A big reason is that a lot of the complicated work has been done by JARVIS. Otherwise, even Tony's workload would have to be matched with 3 or 4 secretaries. Lin knows the complexity of running a company. Advertisement. So, read the lottery notice sent by the system. Lin spoke to the system with a slightly excited mood. Receive professional artificial intelligence knowledge. Receive prehistoric artificial intelligence. Well, he has to see if this artificial intelligence meets the standards he imagined. Almost instantly, it feels like a lot of knowledge emerges from the brain, all related to artificial intelligence. Under a strange effect, the brain quickly understands, absorbs, and is quickly mastered by others. After a long time, roar, Lin let out a sullen breath and opened her eyes, revealing a gleam of light. He is now in the field of artificial intelligence, dare not say the world's first, but he can definitely be regarded as the world's top. After all, this is technology from another future world. In front of him, a light blue USB flash drive also appeared. Lost in thought, artificial intelligence knowledge and prehistoric artificial intelligence, both come from the same world. Therefore, he now understands the meaning of the prehistoric level. In short, it is the middle and high level in that world. If converted to the level of artificial intelligence in the Marvel world, it is comparable to JARVIS. Even more flexible than JARVIS. After all, the other world is very mature in the field of artificial intelligence research and has accumulated a lot of experience. As for what AI betrayal, sorry, impossible. The other world has thoroughly developed this point, and it is strictly restricted in all aspects. It doesn't give artificial intelligence a chance at all. Then, Lin walked out of the office and headed towards the technical room. After all, the amount of information contained in an artificial intelligence is enormous. A laptop is not realistic at all, even 10 or 100 cannot be accommodated. Only the computer room that the company spends hundreds of millions of yuan in investment can be installed. And his footsteps also aroused the attention of the people around him. After all, every move of the chairman will put a lot of pressure on others. Advertisement. And Natasha Romanoff and Emily also looked sideways and thoughtful about it. Then the two looked at each other and smiled at each other, as if they were going to work together next time. But the moment he bowed his head, his eyes were full of hostility. Good guy, the other party is definitely a formidable enemy. Natasha Romanoff knew that Emily was definitely an agent, and Emily understood and received information that Natasha Romanoff was from S.H.I.E.L.D. This time, the two, under Lin's deliberate guidance, were completely opposed to each other. I believe it won't be long before they will have a lot of trouble and will no longer focus on Lin. That's why Lin recruited both of them into the company. On the one hand, the two of them are indeed used as coolies. On the other hand, it is also to provoke a fight between the two sides and divert attention. Otherwise, a good mobile phone company would be involved in the whirlpool of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra. Very troublesome. At this moment, Lin has walked into the computer room. After letting the surrounding staff back down, insert the U-disk into the host computer in the computer room. Then I walked to the computer and watched the large amount of code information constantly emerging from the computer. It is very spectacular. It can be called a screen refresh. After a while, I suddenly heard a voice coming from the computer. The prehistoric artificial intelligence number 0 is starting. 0 has started successfully. Ask the administrator to enter the relevant information. Intelligence name, gender, level of intelligence, image. Lin, who had already made up his mind about this, said immediately. Name, Vera, gender, female, intelligence, totally open. Image, Chapter 26 Lin's plan. Past life industry. After a while, he looked at the image of Oni-san that appeared on the computer screen. Look at the big man, the long legs, and the tightly wrapped clothes that show the figure that bulges forward and backward. Satisfied nodded. Tisk tisk, he is such a good person. Full Oni-san control, ha ha. It didn't take long for the artificial intelligence Vera to speak in a very soft tone. Boss, is there any task I need to do? Hearing the sound that made the ears pregnant, Lin squinted and said as if enjoying. Open the source code, enter at hash. Immediately, I heard a cold, mechanical sound from the computer. Warning, warning. Once the code is entered, it will liberate the moral and legal constraints of artificial intelligence. Please enter. Enter. He has just acquired artificial intelligence, because it is a very mature product, so it is full of restrictions on the moral laws of the world. This is a hindrance for Lin, who wants to make the most of artificial intelligence. So with the professional knowledge you just acquired, you can immediately break through the limitations. Definitely, the restrictions on not betraying managers are still very strong, and even Lin is conscious of strengthening this aspect. After all, the future Ultron had impressed him. Artificial intelligence, if you use it well, it is a weapon, but if you don't use it well, it is really a crisis of extinction. After waiting for a while, the computer returned to the original sound that made the ears pregnant. System restarting. Restart succeeded. The artificial intelligence Vera will serve the boss wholeheartedly. Is there anything you need Vera to do? Boss. Lin squinted, as if enjoying and thinking, and said neatly after a while. Advertisement. Control all systems of Xingyao Company and monitor everyone's every move. If there is an abnormal situation, report it to me in time. After completion, in the case of completely hiding their own traces, search and sort out all valuable information from the internet. Key keywords. Baron Strucker. Inhumans. Shield. Hydra. Hulk. Essir Protoss. Quote. Quote. After explaining the task, Lin left the computer room and returned to his office. Now Vera has taken over all the company's systems. As long as there is a mobile phone or computer at hand, or even an electronic device, he can be contacted. High-level artificial intelligence, after completely unlocking the restrictions, is just so horizontal. Now, the important thing is to continue arranging people in the company to buy servers, and he wants to expand the computer room. On the one hand, it is to better play the role of artificial intelligence micro-pull. As long as there are enough servers, its computing power will be stronger, so the information that can be obtained, the more firewalls can be broken through. From this point of view, the server could be better. On the other hand, he now needs a defensive measure. The arrival of Shield and Hydra stimulated his nerves. Originally, he planned to farm well while communicating with female friends, after his strength grew to a certain level. In one fell swoop, he rose up to suppress the crisis of extinction. Result. Because Tyler Duncan's identity puts him in crisis. This made him a muggle in an instant, breaking his original farming plan. Therefore, he needs a defensive measure. It can deter the capital power of the United States, or institutions such as Shield, Hydra, etc. At least when they deal with Xingyao Company, they will feel extremely apprehensive. And this power, in his opinion, is the most practical at present. Public opinion. When Linan has the power to guide public opinion, no matter which side of the force will be very ingratiating to Lin. After all, advertisement. No one wants to be slapped with a big black pot for no reason, or their own bottoms are hyped. If you are smeared in the future, you can also resist in time and clean up. Another point, in Lin's plan. Try to develop some industries. With a large number of workers or vacant jobs on hand, the local government will be extra tolerant and even please. Be extra careful when doing it. Even, he can use this to push certain politicians to the top and be his own spokesperson. These are all in Lin's plan. After all, there are endless crises in the world of Marvel. Only extraordinary power is not enough. Don't you see, the future Avengers were directly smeared and forced into civil war. The power of capital, the power of collectives, cannot be underestimated. And he has to grasp on both sides, and both hands have to be hard. In order to ensure the future invincible in the Marvel world. As for how to develop the power of public opinion and industry, Lin has also been preparing for a long time. He wasn't going to open a newspaper or get involved in industrial manufacturing. These industries are very mature and very solid. Even if the Xingyao Company holds a large amount of cash in its hands, if it wants to squeeze in, it has to fight hard. Therefore, he set his sights on the memory of his previous life. Or, past life is a very hot industry. Headlines today. Magnesium Group. Taobao. Chapter 27. The fruit company exists in name only. Chaos system. Memories of past lives are an extremely precious treasure for him. It's only September 2007. In the future, with the gradual promotion of smartphones, a new business era will be ushered in. In this era, a large number of industries will be updated, some may rise further, and some may decline directly. And what Lin has in his hands is the Raiders for the next 10 years. Although I can't guarantee that the development trajectory is exactly the same, after all, Marvel's crisis is really a lot. But there is absolutely no problem with the general context. And now, for Lin, for Shining Star. At present, there are two major development directions. Headlines today. Magnesium Group. One controls public opinion, one increases industrial jobs. In this regard, Lin has already started planning. And people in the company have been told to recruit talents in this area, as well as programming software. Now with the artificial intelligence Vera, it can escort her plan even more. Not to mention, Collecting a large amount of talent information through the internet can screen out the operational talents that Lin needs. Not to mention, Vera can help them further speed up their programming. Calculated roughly. At the end of the month, which is the beginning of October, the software can be made. At that time, the talents are almost gathered, and they are waiting for the official start. A week later, Shining Star Company, the chairman's office. Lin was looking at the newspaper in her hand with a smile on her face. I saw a prominent headline on the front of the newspaper. The fruit company lives in name only. A large number of consumers suffered heavy losses. Close double-angle bracket. This report is good. It has data, pictures, and writing. It is very infectious. It seems that the money is really well spent. Well, that's right, this report was made by Lin. He recently spent a lot of money in order to make the fruit company's share price fall further. With the mass selling of stocks by the public and shareholders, he is almost on the verge of taking absolute control of the fruit company. More importantly, it didn't cost too much either. Because, now Xingyao mobile phone accounts for 95% of the entire smartphone market. Advertisement and sales have exceeded 3 billion yuan. The fruit company barely managed to break through 100 million yuan in sales. This has left all shareholders and consumers despairing of the fruit company. And all are due to the huge difference between the two smartphone systems. First of all, the two mobile phones are not open source, so each software can only be applied on their own mobile phones, resulting in many consumers choosing Xingyao mobile phones because of Xingyao software. Secondly, the mobile phone operating system of the fruit company has not been developed for a long time, and the frequency of bugs is not low, and it even crashes from time to time. As for the mobile phone operating system of Xingyao company, it comes from a very mature smartphone system. Up to now, bugs have appeared, but very few. This allows consumers who are watching from the sidelines to make an immediate decision in their hearts. Therefore, the fruit system and fruit mobile phone developed with a lot of money are completely useless. And gave him a fatal blow. On the other hand, Shining Star Company paid people to guide public opinion and reduce the stock price. As a result, a large number of small shareholders sold their shares and exited the company, and Xingyao Company took the opportunity to acquire it at a low price. Even for further acquisition of large stakes, Lin proposed a certain amount of equity exchange for the capital behind the major shareholders of some fruit companies. In short, Lin now has absolute control over Shining Star Company, outflows a certain amount of equity, and can also bundle interests with some large capital. It is convenient to carry out more in-depth cooperation in the later stage. After all, the more you share, the more you gain. What he shares is equity, and it is uncertain how much these companies will pay later. Now, Shining Star has relatively controlled fruit companies. Completely influence its business decisions. Let him stop all plans and cut off all funds. Even Lin asked people to directly stop the supply of fruit mobile phones. Result: Rebs was very embarrassed and chose to resign directly from the company he had been running for many years. And most of the talents of fruit company were introduced into Xingyao company. The fruit company is completely dead in name only. Ha ha. Thinking of this, Lin couldn't help but feel joy in her heart. But, Lin wasn't completely relieved either. Advertisement. Because, according to the intelligence he investigated, it turns out that Rebs is now talking further with the company behind Android. In other words, Rebs wants to join Android. And the future free strategy of Android also made Lin feel tricky. After all, anyone can use free stuff. But Lin is not without solutions. The only enemy of free is free itself. Lin has now successfully developed an open source system, Chaos Mobile Operating System. Be prepared to try free strategies too. Trying to fight Android. It is also free. With the Chaos system stability is much higher than Android, I believe most people will choose the Chaos camp. And Lin is also ready to spend a lot of money, and even use artificial intelligence, to develop transformation tools for many future smartphone companies. Seize the global market and push them completely into the smartphone age. He doesn't believe it. Android can beat him too. And Lin can get much more than just money. That is, the influence on the global mobile phone market. Think about it, wait for the Chaos system to completely occupy the entire mobile phone system market. Which company is disobedient? Just find a reason to disable his Chaos mobile phone system. This company is completely over. With such influence, Lin is confident to directly intervene in various industries and promote the rapid development of his own enterprises in all aspects. One of the easiest ways is to force all Chaos system smartphones to install Xingyao software. This is the equivalent of the mobile version of Windows. Ha ha ha. Even, the future development trend is good, you can also intervene in the computer market. Thinking of this, Lin put down the newspaper in his hand and began to seriously deal with the company's affairs. He needs to quickly establish a solid foundation. It is still a time of peace, and by next year, the whole world will slowly become chaotic. At that time, what you think can really come true. Even more exaggerated. Extraordinary power, this is an existence that did not exist in the previous life. Destroying a star by one person is not a fantasy in the Marvel world. Asterisk. Chapter 28 Lin's Blessing. Flowers are full of 1,000 plus more. 2007, October 10th, Shining Star Company, conference room. There is a red banner above the entire conference room. It has a series of English characters written on it, which roughly means Toutiao and the Magnesium Group swearing in meeting today. That's right, today's meeting is about the official start of two projects, Toutiao and Magnesium Group. In the entire conference room, Lin is sitting in the front seat, with the manager of the smartphone on the left, and the person in charge of Toutiao and Magnesium Group on the right. Especially looking at Tuttlemick and Jody Victor, who are in charge of today's headlines and Magnesium Groups on the right. Cannot help but feel satisfied. These two are the top talents that he has selected through the artificial intelligence Vera to collect a large amount of information. These two people both meet the needs of these two projects in terms of character and ability. Lin believes that under Vera's supervision and guidance and the ability of the two, today Toutiao and Magnesium Group will develop and expand rapidly. He can also be a one-time hands-off shopkeeper. To be honest, working every day during this period of time has caused him to go to the hotel to study and communicate with Oni-san less frequently. Recently, he just came up with a new way of playing, which is to teach two Oni-san to learn and communicate together. Unfortunately, I have been too busy recently to realize this idea. Why? However, this time, he can collect a lot of talents through Vera. There are those with rich experience, those with strong learning ability, and those with profound background, all kinds are available. At the same time, they are assigned to different positions according to their own characteristics. The efficiency of the entire company has been significantly improved. Even, Lin saw that Natasha Romanoff and Emily were affected by it, and they both started to roll up, and the efficiency improved a lot. Although watching the two of them work hard for him, Lin felt an inexplicable sense of refreshment. However, there was always an I beside him, which made him feel uncomfortable. Therefore, he decided to take the opportunity to let the two work together recently, and then voluntarily resigned and left the company. He can also change to a reassuring Oni-san secretary to take care of his devastated heart. Well, perhaps two secretaries are more suitable, which is more convenient for his comprehensive study and communication. Perhaps, this opportunity lies in this new project. Thinking of this, Lin looked around for a week, looked at the people below, and said aloud. Today's Toutiao and Magnesium Group projects will be the main projects of our Xingyao company for a period of time in the future. Advertisement. All departments should give strong support to the two operation teams of Toutiao and Magnesium Group. As long as it does not violate company discipline, it can be released. Technical department, you need to maintain the website and software of these two projects. If there is a large-scale problem, it will be a trivial matter if the bonus is gone this year. I will directly let the culprit withdraw from Xingyao. And also, quote. Afterwards, Lin kept talking about the things to pay attention to when running the two projects, and also asked what the new team thought. Next to Natasha Romanoff and Emily also assumed the responsibilities of secretaries. He held a notebook in his hand and kept waving the pen in his hand to record the main points of the meeting. The work that has been rolled up with each other during this time has made the two of them have a slight fear of the position of secretary. There are so many things, so complicated. It's as easy as being an agent, just staring at a task and working hard. But there is no way, the boss above asked, only to continue to do. This was definitely not something Lin put on them on purpose, it was simply too many tasks. Then, remember, suddenly Lin said their names. Director Tuttlemick, Director Jody Victor. My secretaries, Ms. Nicole and Ms. Emily, will be documenting the operational development of your two projects. With that, Lin turned her head to Natasha Romanoff and Emily. You two will act as my representatives to observe the operation of the project, but have no right to interfere in any decision making. You need to put together a full report for me every 2 days, no problem, right? Natasha Romanoff and Emily froze for a moment, then nodded subconsciously. Lin nodded slightly in satisfaction, then continued. Because it is the first time for you to do such a task, and you lack experience. So, recently, the two of you have to act together, try not to separate, observe together, exchange summaries together, and write a report. Wait until I feel that all aspects of your report are very mature, then separate. As Lin spoke in a commanding tone, the two looked at each other, hesitated a little, and nodded. Subsequently, Lin began to issue tasks to other departments separately. And the two Oni-san secretaries did not have time to think deeply and began to write records. Every point Lin said was the point, and nothing could be left behind. One by one. This made them both exhausted. You know, the two of them are purely handwritten and cannot be recorded, and Lin has to be checked afterwards to see if there is anything missing. This was specifically requested by Lin, purely to exercise their ability to write, and definitely didn't mean to watch them work very hard. Advertisement. After a long time, with Lin announcing the meeting is officially over. Everyone gasped, and Lin's momentum in the meeting was overwhelming. One suggestion after another, no, or one command after another would be more appropriate. Let everyone keep nodding. Although there are doubts, most of them dare not ask questions directly in the face of the overwhelming Lin. Just think about taking the time to ask again after the meeting is over. It is really. Lin's boss is too imposing. Waiting for everyone, including the two secretaries, to leave the meeting room, Lin smiled, took a sip of water and moistened her throat. Today's meeting went very well. In particular, the matter of guiding the two secretaries to fight has already taken shape. He forced Natasha Romanoff to work with Emily. Just to give Natasha Romanoff a chance to find out what's wrong with Emily, and even the forces behind it. As for how to find out, I saw Lin said softly with a smile. My blessings. Natasha Romanoff has found a huge increase in the background probability of Emily Hydra. This is Lin's latest research on how to speak and use it. There is only one effect: increase the probability. As long as Lin is willing to bless, the target probability will increase significantly in the next period of time. This, while he was drinking with Oni-san at the bar. The two played a fun little game and explored it. For example, if the dice is rolled more than the file size, whoever is bigger will drink a glass of wine. Well, the effect is very good. The Oni-san drank and volunteered to go to the hotel with him to study and communicate. He decided, every morning in the future, a blessing will be sent to Natasha Romanoff for discovering Emily Hydra's background. Until the two resigned. Definitely, the probability amplification is not generated out of thin air, it must have a factual basis. This is why it is mandatory for the two to be together. Because when two people are together, there will be contact. Once there is contact, then Natasha Romanoff has a probability. And Lin's blessing is to magnify this probability. Asterisk. Chapter 29 Hydra's Cruelty. Flowers are full of 2000 plus more. 2007, October 24th, Shining Star Company, Chairman's Office. Lin sat in his boss chair, watching the two secretaries leave. Some helplessly said, my blessings. Natasha Romanoff has found a huge increase in the background probability of Emily Hydra. Immediately afterwards, a strange wave enveloped Natasha Romanoff and Emily. It has been 2 weeks since the swearing-in ceremony, and during these 14 days, Natasha Romanoff and Emily are almost inseparable. Lin blesses it almost every day. But 14 days have passed and no results yet. Obviously, the effect is obvious when throwing dice with the beautiful Oni-san, and the other party is willing to learn and communicate with him. How come it has become so stretched now? Well, it may be that the second-order words cannot directly control the fate, and can only say that the probability is increased. The effect should be more pronounced when the utterance method reaches a higher level. Lin thought helplessly. But Lin believes that the odds are getting higher and higher as he blesses each day. After that, he didn't think about it anymore. All he needs to do is to keep one word of the law every day. In the end, the two of them must have a fight, but it's just a matter of time. Nicole, I'll go get a cup of coffee, do you want it? Emily, who had just left the office, asked Natasha Romanoff. Black Widow Natasha Romanoff smiled and said lightly. Just give me a glass of water. Then, looking at Emily's figure walking away slowly, she fell into contemplation. Emily is a real hammer, and she has definitely received professional agent training. Although it was hidden deeply, after her detailed observation, some of the tone and movements were obviously too clean and neat, with the smell of an agent. Judging by her decades of experience in the industry, there is definitely something wrong with it. Especially in the past 2 weeks, she often noticed some small movements of the other party, such as suddenly touching the earphone, or like this time, she just found something and left her advertisement. However, these small actions can only be said to be intuitive and have no basis at all. The intelligence investigation was deadlocked. All of this shows that the power behind Emily is absolutely no trivial matter. And the other party, actually willing to stay in a mobile phone company, lurking for such a long time. Goals absolutely matter. Even, it is very likely that it is closely related to the task assigned to him by the director. Black Widow Natasha Romanoff thought so. Emily, who had just left, was slowly walking towards the company's beverage area. As he walked, he pressed the earphones in his ears. Said softly, Number 25, application for newsletter. Not long after that, a cold voice came from the earphones. Number 25, what's the matter? How is the mission accomplished? In this regard, Emily said softly, her tone slightly urgent. The mission is deadlocked and I'm next to Black Widow Natasha Romanoff, and we're basically inseparable now. She's staring at me all the time. Even, sometimes I suspect that she noticed some of my movements. Serious impact on mission. I applied and the organization sent someone to clean up Black Widow Natasha Romanoff. As Emily's voice passed, the other party was silent for a while. But not long after, the cold voice continued to speak. Agent 25, your request has been received by the organization. Someone will contact you later, and you cooperate with his request and bring Black Widow Natasha Romanoff into the corresponding location. The organization will send someone to clean it up. Note that if you haven't completed the task after the goal is cleared, you should be clear about how the organization handles it. As she spoke slowly in a cold tone, Emily's eyes flashed with fear, and she shivered slightly. Hydra treats those who fail to complete the task with extremely harsh methods. Although it will not harm life, it is very painful. So, the tone is very affirmative. Advertisement. Received. Must complete the task. Then a soft roar sounded. Hydra hail. Finally, as the other party also said Hydra hail, the headset was completely silent. Afterwards, Emily walked towards Natasha Romanoff with a cup of coffee and a glass of water. A faint smile floated on his face. Around 4 p.m., in a commercial street in Los Angeles. I saw two beauties, Oni-san, walking down the street, attracting attention. The two sides held each other's arms, talking and laughing, as if they were two sisters. These two are Natasha Romanoff of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Emily of Hydra. Sudden, I heard Emily say with a smile, "Nicole, I know there's a very good clothing store nearby, and it's all made to order. I've seen their product and it's really pretty good. Would you like us to go see it together? I'm sure their outfits are absolutely perfect with your figure." When Natasha Romanoff heard Emily's words, she smiled slightly, as if she replied with some curiosity and some surprise. "That's definitely going. I really want a custom-made dress recently, which can be used for the company's banquet." Then, follow Emily to the distance, and the target location will pass through a sparsely populated alley. Black Widow Natasha Romanoff was walking, watching the people around him become less and less populated, and his heart was slightly alert. He lowered his arm slightly and touched a button very secretly. When they came to an alley that was almost invisible, the two began to gradually separate. Black Widow Natasha Romanoff's face slowly filled with indifference. At the same time, Emily's face was also cold. A few seconds later, Black Widow Natasha Romanoff saw a figure appear in the alley. Some vigilant, some surprised light roar road. Winter Soldier. Chapter 30 Winter Soldier. Black Widow. The flowers are full of 3,000 plus more. In an uninhabited alleyway, I saw a tall and thin figure strolling over and extending his right arm. It was a silver white arm like metal. On the arm there is a red 5-pointed star. This is the rumored Winter Soldier or Winter Soldier. Seeing this, Hydra agent Emily strode towards Winter Soldier. At the same time, Winter Soldier took out something from the back of his waist, pulled the latch, and threw it in the direction of Natasha Romanoff in a standard throwing stance. That is a special grenade. Seeing this, Natasha Romanoff shrank his pupils and quickly ran back, trying to escape the blast. Whoosh. The sound of a falling projectile made Natasha Romanoff, who was running fast, not turning his head, and even accelerated his escape. I saw the grenade hit the ground not far away, jumping a few times, and then, a hot flame and terrifying energy erupted in it. Madman. Natasha Romanoff cursed secretly, throwing grenades directly in the city. Although the alley is empty and uninhabited, there are a large number of passers-by not far away, which definitely attracts a lot of attention. Seeing this, Natasha Romanoff turned around and quickly found a shelter. Hide behind it, raise your arms, staggered in front of you, and use a standard defensive posture to minimize the danger of explosions. Boom. As the explosion slowly dissipated, Natasha Romanoff felt the pain all over her body, and quickly slapped the burning flames around her to reduce its damage. Then, stand up and look in the direction of Winter Soldier. I saw that in the road full of flames, Winter Soldier walked out of the flames, stretched out his right arm, and tore the tattered windbreaker on the body and threw it on the ground. The next moment, Natasha Romanoff took out the pistol hidden in his waist and fired directly at Winter Soldier. Bang bang bang. With the sound of gunfire, the Winter Soldier quickly charged towards Natasha Romanoff while holding back with metal arms. Seeing this, Natasha Romanoff's expression changed slightly and cursed. He rushed forward directly, pulled out the dagger tied to his long legs, and attacked forward. Under such circumstances, relying on her years of experience, if she wants to escape directly, she is absolutely dead. Only by fighting head-on can she find a chance to escape. Advertisement. I saw Natasha Romanoff stab Winter Soldier a few times with great speed. But Winter Soldier didn't respond at all, just punched Natasha Romanoff's head with a metal arm. Seeing this, Natasha Romanoff's expression changed drastically, and he directly resisted with both hands. Boom. All I could hear was a slight tearing of bone in Natasha Romanoff's arm. Humph. Natasha Romanoff snorted, her expression changed slightly, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Then take advantage of the strength to retreat to the rear, but also to pull away, and want to attack again. At the moment, at the exit of the alley, a large number of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents in black battle suits sprang out. Have a submachine gun. Seeing this, Natasha Romanoff looked slightly happy, and it seemed that the rescue she called Roar had arrived. Afterwards, only a large number of bullets were seen pouring towards Winter Soldier. Boom, 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 boom. With a tense and dense sound of bullets, Emily, who was standing behind Winter Soldier, changed her expression wildly, and immediately retreated back to find a shelter. Same goes for Winter Soldier. Seeing this, Black Widow Natasha Romanoff avoided the bullet-firing position and ran directly towards the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. I saw Natasha Romanoff disappearing into the crowd of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. As the gunfire died down, Winter Soldier saw Natasha Romanoff behind the crowd. Poker face. Then, immediately ran to the place where Emily was hiding, grabbed Emily under his arm, and relied on his strong physical fitness. Jump straight across the alley and escape into the distance. This mission failed. Need to go back and report the task details. Seeing this, the SHIELD agent sent a group of people to pursue it. The rest drove Natasha Romanoff to the Los Angeles branch of SHIELD. Los Angeles, SHIELD Division. Advertisement. Natasha Romanoff, who was receiving treatment, looked at the very familiar, slightly bald white man who appeared in front of him, and complained. Phil Coulson, has Winter Soldier caught it? He hurt me badly. I saw that Phil Coulson also replied with a wry smile. The opponent's skills are too agile, our agent chased after him, and he didn't find him at all. Later, we will continue to track the mysterious forces behind Winter Soldier. In this regard, Natasha Romanoff is also silent. Then, Phil Coulson asked gently. Natasha Romanoff, in such a situation, do you still need to keep lurking in the Shining Star Company? If you don't want to, I can rearrange people to try to lurk. Hearing Phil Coulson's question, Natasha Romanoff was silent for a moment, then said with a smile. No need, none of the agents dispatched before have entered Xingyao. If you send another person, it is very likely the same. I finally got in this time, and I also served as the secretary. More importantly, this time, the enemy's agent disappeared completely, and no one was restraining my actions. I believe it won't be long before the secret behind Lin will be uncovered. Seeing Natasha Romanoff's reply, Phil Coulson nodded. Okay, then I will be responsible for taking care of Emily's traces. You take care of your injuries first, and continue to lurk in Xingyao Company. The intelligence department will cooperate with all your actions. We are waiting for your good news. In this regard, Natasha Romanoff nodded slightly and continued to be treated by the medical staff. And Phil Coulson, putting the nutritional supplements in his hand on the table next to him, strode away. There is also a lot of work in his hands. This time I came to see Natasha Romanoff because the two have a good relationship. The next day, at the office of the chairman of Shining Star Company, Lin looked at Black Widow Natasha Romanoff in front of him and said in a surprised tone. What? Emily resigned. Chapter 31 Vicious Hydra. Add more monthly tickets for AWY, KLU 39. Shining Star Company, Chairman's Office. What? Emily resigned. Why didn't I get the message? Lin looked at the Black Widow Natasha Romanoff in front of him and said in surprise. I can't help thinking to myself. It seems. His own words came into effect. Well, looking at this situation, Emily is probably bad luck, and even the trace of Hydra may have been leaked. Then, Black Widow took out a resignation letter and said softly to Lin. Boss, all the parents in Emily's house were in a car accident, and she has returned home to deal with the aftermath. It is said that I have not been in the mood to continue working for a while, so I resigned. This is her resignation letter, let me turn it over to you. Lin listened, holding the resignation letter from Natasha Romanoff in her hand. Just take a look. Well, it seems that SHIELD has done a good job, and the handwriting is exactly the same. Immediately afterwards, Natasha Romanoff took out his mobile phone and made a call. Soon, the call was connected. Then, handed it to Lin, said, Boss, Emily also wants to tell you personally, it's very sudden, I'm very sorry. And Lin took the phone, looked slightly, good guy, it was indeed Emily's phone number. Then put it in your ear and ask, is it Emily? I heard your parents died in a car accident. My condolences. Immediately afterwards, a very familiar voice came from the mobile phone, it was Emily's voice. Yes, boss, I am preparing for the funeral of my parents here, and I can't continue to work. I'm so sorry, trust my resignation letter, you got it. Man, the imitation is really spot on. If he hadn't known that Emily was the Hydra agent, he would have thought he was answering. It seems that SHIELD should not be underestimated. Afterwards, Lin chatted a few more words and hung up. Advertisement. Then, say something to Natasha Romanoff. I know about this, Nicole, go to work now. Natasha Romanoff nodded slightly, turned, and walked towards the office. The moment I walked by, my heart relaxed slightly. It seems that the aftermath in this bureau is perfect. It's time to get serious about finding out Lin's hidden secrets. Seeing Natasha Romanoff walk out of the office completely, Lin rubbed his temples with a wry smile. I thought that this time I would be able to drive all the people from SHIELD and Hydra out of Xingyao. Unexpectedly, the people from Hydra left, and the Black Widow of SHIELD is still in the company. It made him feel a little nervous. Originally, he was ready to watch a good show. Now, he has decided. Take the opportunity to retire Natasha Romanoff. Out of sight, out of mind. Hydra, a hidden base in Los Angeles. Emily from at the moment is reporting the details of this mission. During the reporting process, there was extreme fear on his face. In Hydra, mission failures are also punished. Or another extremely painful brainwashing. Although it would not kill her, it made Emily feel extremely terrified. This kind of brainwashing is abruptly passed through a long period of hardship. Completely collapse the person's psychological defense, and then implant the belief of loyalty to Hydra. Winter Soldier is a lot of brainwashing. Result. Now, he has absolutely no independent will of his own, becoming a ruthless task machine. Advertisement. After the mission report, I saw Emily looking in front of him, a middle-aged white man in a gray battle suit with a Hydra logo on his chest. He said in a slightly frightened tone, "Sir, this mission on Lin was a complete failure. What should be the next step?" At this time, we have absolutely no information about his father's legacy from Lin. In this regard, the chief was silent for a while, and said cruelly, "Since there is no information about his father from Lin, plus S.H.I.E.L.D. Just kill him. After he dies, our people will dispose of all his legacy, find the information, and destroy it." Immediately afterwards, he pulled out a cold smile at the corner of Emily's mouth and said, "When the time comes, you can also witness Lin's death. Okay, this mission involves S.H.I.E.L.D. Don't worry, there will be no punishment. In a few days, we will have a new task for you." Hearing the officer's reply, Emily felt a lot more relieved and replied immediately, "Good sir. Hydra hail." With the commander also saying Hydra hail, the two began to leave. Return to their respective positions. On October 31, 2007, at night, the conference room of Xingyao Company. Lin sat upright and looked around, looking at the executives sitting on either side. Satisfied nods slightly, they are all elite soldiers of Xingyao Company, and said loudly, "Tomorrow, our company's newly developed open-source mobile operating system will be officially released. The competition from Android companies this time may be very tough. The entire company should unite as one and defeat the enemy." Quote. Beside Natasha Romanoff, he also skillfully took out his notebook and recorded the main points of the entire meeting. Tomorrow, she will follow Lin as secretary to this launch. Natasha Romanoff believes that through this event, Lin will trust her more, and she will be able to pull out more information. Asterisk. Chapter 32 Hydra kills Lin. November 1, 2007, Los Angeles, Shining Star Company press conference. Throughout the conference site, a large number of reporters kept coming and going, which seemed very noisy. Only to see everywhere covered with eye-catching red banners. It says, Shining Star's open source smartphone operating system conference. Backstage, Natasha Romanoff was looking at Lin in a blue suit. Can't help but sigh, this beautifully tailored suit, coupled with the handsome face. A proper handsome guy. This is going to the press conference, which will definitely attract the attention of a large number of female reporters. No wonder. During this time, Lin went to the hotel more and more frequently, and it seemed that this handsome face was causing trouble. Natasha Romanoff couldn't help but complain. Then, a bell rang, and the press conference was about to officially begin. And Natasha Romanoff watched as Lin strode onto the podium. And myself, this is in the background watching all the speeches that follow. Lin walked to the podium, took the microphone, and said aloud, "Thank you very much to all the reporters for coming to our Shining Star Company's press conference. The theme of this conference is our company's latest open source smartphone operating system. Similarly, this system was also developed by myself. I named it Chaos. The name of Chaos means that everything is inclusive, and it also means that we will share the system with other mobile phone companies. In order to better promote the rapid development of the smartphone industry, we will license it to all companies for free. As long as the license agreement is signed with our company, the open source mobile phone system we developed can be used. And, we will spend a lot of money to support the development of the Chaos system. As long as you are willing to use our Chaos mobile phone system, then. Quote. Next, let's talk about Xingyao's support for all aspects of the Chaos system. For example, you can apply for a certain amount of loan, or you can apply for the assistance of scientific research personnel of Xingyao Company, etc. The benefits one after another made even the reporters present felt heartbroken. They waved the pens in their hands, opened their recordings, and recorded every piece of information. This time, they all thought of the title. Advertisement. After the Xingyao system, the Chaos system was born. Close double angle bracket. Shock. Xingyao Company even let all companies use Chaos system for free. Close double angle bracket. Shocking. Shining Star spent hundreds of millions of dollars to support smartphone development. Close double angle bracket. Open double angle bracket. Close double angle bracket. I believe that it will definitely attract the attention of a large number of readers. And Natasha Romanoff behind the scenes, saw Lin on the podium constantly berating Fang Chu. Cannot help but sigh, is indeed a genius. After his contact with him for a while, Lin is in addition to being very lecherous. All other aspects can be said to be excellent. Whether it is technology research and development or business operations, Lin has done a very good job in all aspects. Even, according to the content of his meeting during this period of time, she seems to have seen the rise of a mobile phone giant in the future. As long as there are no serious mistakes in the middle, shining star, no, Lin is definitely a business giant in the United States. Then don't think about it anymore. What she's most concerned about now is how to get his father's information out of Lin's mouth. To be honest, Lin's villa has been cleaned up by their investigation, but nothing has been found. The only breach, I am afraid, is Lin himself. As time passed, this time Lin stepped up his security efforts. The conference ended very smoothly. It wasn't like last time that a bunch of reporters popped up trying to make trouble. After the press conference, Lin nodded in satisfaction, seeing a large number of reporters leaving. This time, he was the first to release the open source system, and spent a lot of money to promote the Chaos mobile phone system. The strength is far greater than that of the Android company in the previous life. He didn't believe it. Under this wave of operations, an Android system can still be turned upside down. Then, he was going to have someone drive him back to the company. Sudden, an anxiety arose inside, immediately made Lin alert. Since he solidified the keen intuition skill, his intuition is quite sharp. There is definitely a problem with this sense of unease right now. As his mind turned, after a while, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. He spoke gently to Natasha Romanoff next to him. Advertisement. Nicole, take my car this time and come back to the company with me. By the way, I have some things to tell you. Natasha Romanoff froze for a moment, then nodded quickly. During this time, I even wanted to get in touch with Lin to get information. Result. For some reason, Lin was just talking to her and didn't take any further action. Well, it may be that the rabbit does not eat the grass at the edge of the nest. She also thought about whether Lin knew the identity of his agent, but what happened, she didn't find anything wrong. Except for more and more work, everything else is very normal. However, this time I personally invited her to the car, which means that the relationship between the two is more intimate, and maybe I can take the opportunity to ask for some information. With that said, he got into the car himself. As the car slowly drove towards the company, Natasha Romanoff looked at Lin sitting next to her and said softly, "Boss, what's the matter? I only heard Lin deal with a few things about the company, but didn't talk much." Then, she wanted to lead the topic, so she said softly, "Boss, when I heard your speech just now, I really feel that you are indeed a genius. When your father was there, the company hadn't developed so much. If you had served as chairman early, I believe." Lin listened to the words of Natasha Romanoff next to him. Although he looked at the other person very beautiful and in line with his aesthetics, there was a slight impatience in his heart. Originally, he wanted to use Natasha Romanoff as a shield to let other forces retreat. As a result, I didn't expect that after riding in the car, the inner unease not only did not weaken, but it became more and more strong. Sudden, Lin felt a creepy feeling, and suddenly felt her scalp go numb. Regardless of what Natasha Romanoff said, he shouted directly at the driver in front of him. "Stop. Stop now." Saying that, he even stood up and held the handbrake directly. After a few seconds, the car began to brake suddenly, and he pulled Natasha Romanoff and quickly opened the door. High roar on one side. "Leave quickly. There is danger." The whole process, no more than 10 seconds. Following Lin, Natasha Romanoff had just stepped out of the car door less than 3 meters. I heard a bang. Chapter 33 Extremely Angry Lin. Boom. I saw a hot flame and terrifying energy erupting all around, and the entire car exploded into pieces in an instant, as if it were shot all around. And the moment the car exploded, Lin hurriedly lightened roar. Defense. Almost instantly, a pale yellow light appeared in front of Lin and Natasha Romanoff. Under Natasha Romanoff's astonished gaze, all the explosive fragments and flames were perfectly blocked, making them safe and unscathed. Extraordinary ability, Natasha Romanoff said in a very surprised light roar. No wonder Lin was able to block Shield's agent from infiltrating the company. It turns out that he has extraordinary ability. I just don't know if it has anything to do with his father. And at the moment Lin, his face is extremely ugly, his heart is extremely angry, his anger is enough to burn anyone and anything that blocks him. Hydra. Absolutely Hydra did it. Dare to explode in the city streets, this kind of unscrupulous means, who else can be except Hydra? Now Lin even wants to kill to vent her anger. He hasn't been wearing Hydra yet, and Hydra actually wants to kill him. Relative to his own super ability has been exposed in front of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's a small problem for him. After all, ordinary people have extraordinary abilities and may be threatened by S.H.I.E.L.D. But a billionaire with extraordinary ability will only cause fear, not to mention that his status is extremely special. So in his opinion, it doesn't matter at all. But Hydra, some lessons have to be taught. Advertisement. Killing people had killed him. If he hadn't solidified his keen intuition in advance, he would have felt a strong sense of unease in advance. Maybe he died without even being able to use his words. Now that Hydra has been ruthless, don't blame Lin for being unethical. Thinking, Lin looked at Natasha Romanoff next to her with cold eyes. He doesn't want to play agent training right now, and making Hydra pay is the only way to quell his anger. And Natasha Romanoff saw Lin Bing's cold eyes, full of anger to the extreme calm, and immediately felt that roar was not good. At this moment, Lin is completely a powder keg, and it will explode at one point. With a look of horror on his face, he said quickly and softly. Boss, you are really amazing, if. The result was immediately interrupted by Lin, who saw Lin's tone was cold and mixed with anger. Enough, Miss Natasha Romanoff, stop acting with me here. What's your situation? I asked someone to investigate it before, and I know your identity. Before, if it wasn't for the good show you two agents made, I would have fired you long ago. Hearing the words spit out from Lin's mouth, Natasha Romanoff, who was originally terrified, immediately switched to calm, even indifferent. Since this is the case, you know everything, then you should also know the cause of the car accident. It's most likely the mysterious force that killed your parents. So, do you want to join hands with us to uncover where the mysterious forces belong? Natasha Romanoff knows it well with years of experience. Now Lin is extremely angry, and any confrontational gesture will only cause him extreme resistance, even suppression. Only when he stood on the same position could he slowly calm down. So, she invited Lin with a very objective and calm gesture. Sure enough, I found that Lin's mood was much calmer, and Lin said extremely calmly. Advertisement. You have no right to say that you will join hands with me now, and let your director come to see me in person. I have some information on hand, I believe he will be interested. With that said, Lin glanced at the dead driver and walked into the distance. Now, people have begun to look around, and even the police may have to come. He must now go to a safe place to prevent another assassination. At the same time, calm down the strong inner anger and come up with a plan that will cost Hydra. Seeing Lin in the distance, Natasha Romanoff shrugged. She also left in the opposite direction. She now needs a quiet place to report important information. Yes, Lin has extraordinary ability. This is absolutely unimaginable. And their Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau is precisely to manage those who have extraordinary abilities. At night, Lin, who had completely calmed down his anger, was walking slowly towards his newly bought villa. He has received news from the artificial intelligence Vera. A black man with a braised egg head suddenly appeared in the villa, and he also wore an eye patch on his left eye. Who is this? No need to say more. Definitely S.H.I.E.L.D. Director Nick Fury. It seems, S.H.I.E.L.D. should pay close attention to what S.H.I.E.L.D. said to him, otherwise, the director wouldn't go to his villa in person. No reservations are made in advance, it seems. It was to surprise him, or rather, to shock Lin. But it is uncertain who will deter who. Chapter 34 Shock Nick Fury, asking for evaluation of flowers. Lin stood in front of her newly bought villa, the corners of her mouth curled slightly. Take out the key and open the door. I saw it was pitch black in the living room. Well, black people are convenient. With this skin color, it can be used as stealth in such a dark place. Tisk tisk. Unlike him, the white-skinned person has to use his words to follow the law in order to be invisible. Nick Fury saw Lin standing in the living room door, motionless. Immediately feel bad. Then, I heard Lin say softly. Vera, turn on the lights to welcome the guests. Almost instantly, the entire villa suddenly lit up. The shining light stimulated Nick Fury to narrow his left eye subconsciously. Well, the right eye is blocked by the blindfold, I don't feel it. Then, Lin was heard laughing again. Vera, introduce this guest to me. As soon as the words fell, the villa began to sound a soft female voice. Nick Fury, gender male. Age 57 years old. Affiliation. Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau. Position. Director. Introduction. Born on July 14, 1950, from Alabama, joined the Army after graduating from high school, and has been engaged in military espionage work, and retired from the military rank in 1986. Quote. Nick Fury's already dark face became even more ugly as he heard the constant transmission of his identity information from the villa's audio system. Well, because the complexion is dark enough, I can't see the expression on the dark face at all. Nick Fury's face was ugly, but he also started to be surprised. Artificial intelligence. This is extremely rare, and it is only available to some top companies or the military, including their S.H.I.E.L.D. But thinking of Lin's identity as a programming genius, he immediately felt relieved. Advertisement. A genius like Tony Stark who programmed his own artificial intelligence. However, he did not think deeply, but immediately interrupted the next words. He came this time to shock Lien, so that he could better obey the arrangements of the Bureau. Instead of coming over to be shocked by him. So, with a serious tone. Enough, Lin, my identities are all secrets, and the information you just said is enough to put you on the back of the crime of revealing state secrets. Seeing this, Lin showed a disdainful expression, but after a few seconds, she gave Vera an order. Stop, Vera. Okay, sir. The moment the words fell, the originally noisy villa instantly became quiet. Then, Lin looked at the braised egg-headed man in a black trench coat and blindfold. Said with a smile, Director Nick Fury, you're here uninvited. Just because of your crime of trespassing, I will kill you now and find a group of lawyers. There is absolutely no problem. Hearing Lin's playful tone, Fury's already bad mood got worse. It seems that Lin, like Tony Stark, has a bad personality, even arrogance. Immediately after, Nick Fury did not reply, but said coldly. This car accident, we will go through a thorough investigation in the follow-up. However, you did something wrong. Our Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau is responsible for managing people with extraordinary abilities like you. Next, you need to cooperate with our bureau to investigate. Hearing what Nick Fury said next, Lin interrupted, jokingly. Let's not say anything else, just your game, the name is too long. In this regard, I suggest that you must change your name. Otherwise, when I heard about this agency, I thought it was fake. There are other responsibilities and so on, you don't have to talk to me about it, everyone understands. Go on, everyone's faces are not good looking. Immediately afterwards, Lin's tone changed and became a little cold. I called you here this time, and there is only one message I want to give you. This news was left to me by my father. I'm sure you'll be quite interested. Advertisement. And what you have to do is to take my clues and wipe them out for me. Hearing Lin's icy tone, Nick Fury was silent for a moment, then said solemnly. You give me the information and we will conduct a thorough investigation. It will give you a fair result at that time. Talking here, Lin doesn't seem to be much interested, and said directly. There is no problem with the information being given to you. Also, ask your agent to resign voluntarily, or we, Xingyao, will resign. With that said, Lin took out a white USB flash drive and threw it to Nick Fury, who was braised egghead. This is his pre-recorded information. The above are all relevant information and industries about Baron Strucker. As for what to say, Hydra hides in S.H.I.E.L.D. Their boss is your old boss Alexander Pierce or something. Sorry, not possible. This information, if known to Nick Fury, could disrupt the trajectory of the Marvel Universe. This is not a good thing for him. This time, the point is to teach Baron Strucker a lesson in Hydra, which is best wiped out. Definitely, it's not realistic to have an old Hydra like Alexander Pierce. But being targeted by Aegis, without paying a lot of price, it is definitely impossible to get rid of it. And these were enough to calm Lin's anger a lot. As for the rest, Lin will find it step by step. It is impossible to kill him without paying the price. After that, Lin didn't give Nick Fury a good face, and directly gave the artificial intelligence Vivian an order to see off. Back to the bedroom alone. He needs a good rest. What happened today completely disrupted his plans. And Nick Fury looked at the figure he was leaving, and Vera's voice sounded in his ears. Quietly walked out of the villa. This time I wanted to shock Lin, but I didn't expect to be shocked by Lin instead. The plan to win Lin had to be rescheduled. Chapter 35 Punisher. Security Chief. Asking for evaluation. The next day, at 9 o'clock in the morning, at the office of the chairman of Xingyao Company. Lin looked at Natasha Romanoff's resignation report on the desk. Satisfied nodded. Now, the agents and spies in the company have been cleaned up. Can develop at full speed. However, when I recalled the picture of the car explosion yesterday, I felt a little bad. Although some information was given to Nick Fury, the specific results are really unknown. Only through the side news, to know one or two. However, I thought of the scene yesterday afternoon when the Los Angeles Police Department sent someone for questioning. Lin was lost in thought. To be honest, the security force of Shining Star Company is obviously insufficient now. Most of them are ordinary soldiers, and they can't stop them from those who have received professional and rigorous training. Let's just say this time, someone at Hydra planted a bomb in his car, and the security guards didn't even know it. This gave Lin an idea. He needs a group of people who can fight and who are willing to sacrifice their lives for him. In this way, even if you encounter a Hydra attack next time, you can react in time. With that in mind, Lin whispered into the laptop in front of him. Vera, screen out the security companies with complete qualifications that can be acquired at present. Almost instantly, a soft sound came from the computer. Okay, sir. Before long, the computer automatically opened a document. In the document, more than a dozen security companies are listed. After a brief look at the information, they basically belong to the security companies that were originally famous but are now in decline. Their qualification procedures in all aspects are very complete, but with the development of the times, they have gradually declined or even approached losses. Taking a look, Lin saw a security company with a very nice name. Blackstone Security Company. Immediately asked Vera to make an appointment with the boss of Blackstone Security Company, and at the same time inform the company to start the acquisition process. In fact, this company is no different from other companies. But it's the name, and Lin looks happier. Advertisement. In short, the acquisition of such a company will only cost 3 or 4 million yuan. For Xingyao Company, it's trivial. But, with regard to training security supervisors, this position is critical. Because the security supervisor directly trains the security personnel in the company. His level directly determines the level of the security company. And this key candidate, Lin has a choice in his heart. Frank Custer. That is, the future Punisher, the famous antihero of the Marvel Universe. Claimed to be the highest level of human combat power. Definitely the best candidate for a security executive. Only, Lin whispered to Vera, search for Frank Custer, keyword Marines, Navy Cross, Silver Star, etc. Okay, sir, please wait a moment. As Vera's soft voice fell, the computer began to display relevant information one by one. Soon, Lin's eyes stopped, staring at one of the candidates, looking at the information in it. Frank Custer, a former soldier in the United States Marine Corps, with the rank of captain. Awarded the Medal of Honor, the Navy Cross, 3 Silver Stars, 4 Purple Hearts, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom for outstanding and strong performance in the Marine Corps. Future Punisher found. Then, Lin asked Vera at this person. Investigate the family situation of the other party and whether there is any death. Okay, sir, according to the information, the other party's family is in good condition. Hearing the message from Vera, he nodded satisfactorily. It seems that Frank hasn't become the real Punisher yet, not so cynical yet. It belongs to the category that can be solicited. Then, he asked Vera again. Investigate their family situation, and observe their recent dining places. If you find that you are going to have dinner in the park, please remind me in time. Lin has not forgotten that the key to Frank being the Punisher is. He had a dinner party with his wife and children in the park, but he was silenced because of witnessing the lynching of the gang. Advertisement. If you can pay attention in time, you can avoid such a tragedy. Frank he won't be the full version of the Punisher either. Well, under his training, Frank is definitely stronger than the so-called Punisher. Extraordinary power is definitely not lacking. Then, I heard Vera say. Okay, sir, according to the intrusion of the surveillance system in the nearby area, collect information and find out. The last dinner at the park will be 2 days ago. Sir, according to the survey of surveillance information in the area near Frank's home, it was found that a gang force wanted to silence it 3 days later. The reason, according to the information, is because the Frank family witnessed them going privately. What? Lin whimpered lightly. In this case, is it just in time for the start of the Punisher plot? To be honest, it was almost half a year before Tony Stark was kidnapped. He hasn't really been involved in the plot yet. This time, it's really taking part in a plot and changing the fate of the protagonist. To be honest, Lin really wanted to give it a try. On the one hand, he's trying to get a good security chief. On the other hand, he wanted to see if he could change the fate of a Marvel superhero protagonist. If so, it means that there is no fate that decides everything. Then he can let go of his hands and feet and start to dry. If you can't, just lie down and see if you can survive the snap of your fingers in the future. Thinking of this, Lin commanded Vera. Book me a plane ticket to New York, and make an appointment with Frank by the way. See you in 3 days. Vera replied softly. Okay, sir, the ticket has been booked and I am in the process of contacting